want to the secretary to check on justice as to where is justice, because we always talk to justice that we don't see a coverage in our meeting. What is the problem? And I even myself, honorable members, I cannot really tell you what is the problem, because I don't know. What I know is that our meeting was supposed to be streamed live, and we were not even supposed to discuss about it. So can I check from the PMG who is representing that office?
There's a hand from Honorable Sapo, Chair.
A hand from Honorable Sapo. As I allow the Honorable Sapo to speak, can I then, after Honorable Sapo, request that the representation from PMG then come on board and assist us with the information? Honorable Sapo, over to you.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, wait, ma. Who is this Muyema?
It's a PMG representative, Chair.
Okay, after Honorable Sapo, then Muyema will then come in.
Okay. No, Chair. Maybe good morning to you and honorable members and everyone else in the meeting. Maybe the PMG will just explain on what happened. But I've noted that I think the issue has been resolved, and now the session has been streamed live. Thanks, Chair. No, I was raising that because you were seem to be moving towards that we adjourn, just to let you know that we are live. Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. But still, let's hear from Muyema, so that even tomorrow we know that we are covered. We need to know, because this thing is a recurring issue now, Honorable Sapo. Hello, Muyema, over to you.
Good morning, Chairperson, and good morning, members. Just to confirm, usually the PMG, we get our video from the YouTube link, so we don't record any of our devices. Thank you.
Oh, okay. So, Honorable Sapo is saying now all is well on YouTube. Do we have a link? If ever all is well, then Nobisa, please send the link on our chat group, because the honorable member requested for the link earlier on. And I am sure that this is not going to happen again. It will be a last discussion with regard to the media issue. Otherwise, we are going to take it up, because now we are tired. Thank you very much, Honorable Sapo. Mayor Makanda, Chairperson of SETFA, we are in your hands, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chairperson. I'm going to start where I was interrupted. I've already done the greetings to the House. Chair, I was stating that today we are here to present our strategic plan and annual performance plan. In line with our MTDP, Chairperson, our strategic plan provides clear outcomes that must be achieved after the 5-year term. Once the APPs will then detail how these will be achieved annually. It is important to note that, Chair, SETFA is aligned with the main objectives of this administration, as the Deputy Minister was saying, of attaining the inclusive growth and job creation. Having said that, we are very much intentional as an institution in creating that enabling environment, trying so hard with the new policies and the new ways of doing things, in being inclusive and opening up a circle and bringing in the rural township economy.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for interrupting you. I'm so sorry. Chairperson?
Yes, Honorable Ngobeni.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Chairperson, is it possible to project the slides? I know we have them, but it's easier to follow. Can we just follow the same procedures we had with the previous speaker? Thanks.
Yes. Mema Kanda?
Thank you, Chair.
Sorry, Chair.
Yes.
Sorry. I think the chairperson, it's procedural. The chairperson is doing the political overview. Then I think it will be the CEO. Then will make the presentation. Then the presentation will be flight when he's doing the actual presentation. As what also the deputy minister did, that she gave a political overview, and then the DG makes the presentation. So the chairperson of SEDFA was still doing the overview. Then the presentation will be done by the CEO. Thank you, Chair. First, I just wanted to rectify that.
Yeah, no, that's noted. Maybe the interruptions. That's noted. Thanks.
All right, thank you.
May I
Continue.
proceed? Oh, thank you so
Yes,
much, Chair. So I was saying, Chair, we are biased towards an inclusive growth, and also making sure that as the institution, we get the matching orders from the department, and we're making sure that no one is left behind in our ways of doing things. And Chairperson, I think it is worth noting that despite our teething problems as a newly merged entity, we are still committed to provide financial and non-financial support, and also coordinating the ecosystem and aligning with our core mandate on why we were given a space to be a merged entity in the first place. Why the merger, and why do we exist as an institution? What problems are we trying to solve now that we are merged? And having inherited what has happened in the entities that have dissolved, I don't think we should water down the importance of the lessons learned from the entities that have dissolved, and what we are trying to solve, and paving the way in how we're going to navigate this very difficult terrain of solving a major crisis in our economy, making sure that we support small businesses, and we align, and we're creating that enabling environment. I mean, we all know DG has projected the challenges from the ecosystem in terms of what small businesses are challenged with as they navigate and trying to fend for their businesses, and creating space to create new jobs, because new jobs will come from small businesses. Research has showed us that, and we are navigating in this complex environment, having that in mind, and knowing that it is very, very important that all systems are in place. There's alignment from top to bottom in making sure that SEDFA works, and it does what it ought to do as per the Enabling Act, and as per the what is expected in South Africa, because we are here now, and we need to be given a space to do what we ought to do, and we need to be supported and be showed where we have gaps, so that we can close those gaps. Otherwise, it will not be a fruitful SEDFA that is able to discharge its mandate fully if we don't have these frank conversations about performance, about resources, about who are we serving, why are we serving them, what is our target, are we aligning with the overall goals of where the country is moving towards the support of small businesses, or are we just punching below the line? If we are, let's have this frank conversation and help each other, so that we can get this organization to do what it ought to do. And as the leader of the organization and our board, we are very clear, even when we engage from an accounting authority perspective, that we are not being apologetic about what needs to be done, and we will hold our management accountable if there's gaps. And also, we still do need to have this frank conversation in the entire system, because it's not just us and our parent, the department, that will solve these problems. It's a collective effort. Everybody needs to take their part, Chairperson. I think it's important that we align from top to bottom to address this. The CEO Chair will then take us through what is our plan in the next 5 years. What are we planning to do? What are the resources that we have at our disposal to implement these plans that we have? What are we going to do per annum to make sure that we're leaning towards that overall strategic plan for the next 5 years? How are we going to walk this journey? Who's walking this journey with us? And who do we need to invite in the main to come and join us, so that we can address the issues that are there in the ecosystem, and we can support the small businesses? So this is the commitment, Chair, through you. I will allow then the Chairperson, together with the CIO at the end, to come on board to appraise the committee. The CEO, Chair, as like I said, will then go through in detail of our submission to the committee today. Thank you, Chairperson. Through you, CEO, if you may.
Over to you, CEO.
Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Chair, honorable members, good morning. I'm just trying to share my screen. So to have the correct presentation, apologies for the delay. I tried to share while the chair was speaking so that there's no delay. Tracking, is it visible?
Yes, thank you. We can see it.
Oh, thank you very much.
Visible, CEO.
Thank you very much. Again, greetings to honorable chair, honorable members, the Deputy Minister, the DG, the Chairperson, and the colleagues online. I will take the committee members through the strategic plan as well as the annual performance plan of CEDFA. This slide just talks to what we'll be dealing with from the introduction all the way to the risk management part, which I'll also take as read. But we'll also be discussing our strategic focus immediately after our mandate, and then the strategic plan and APP, as I have indicated. In the introduction, I would like to say that we are presenting the planning documents for the newly merged entity, CEDFA. I am aware that sometimes it does seem like we have been in existence for a long time, Chair and honorable members, but we really started on the 1st of October, and this is our first strategic plan of the new entity, and our first real annual performance plan of the new entity that we are presenting today. What we presented in I think in December was a combined plan for the different entities for us to be able to complete the financial year, but we are here today to present really the first documents of this entity, which means then that the committee oversight will be on this work also, but also in the next 5 years when we look back as an entity ourselves, and when the portfolio members look back from an oversight point of view, this is what we're presenting as a picture that everyone will be looking back at and say, at least we've been able to establish this entity, allowed it to grow, gave it a room to achieve what it needs to achieve, but also give it a room to change the landscape of the small businesses or small enterprises in this country. And for us, then we are grateful to be here to present this work of this new entity. As I said, is what we'll look back at in the next 5 years. As said, we've not presented the new entity to the committee, but our strategic plan includes the rationale why this single integrated entity was formed, so that it is able to facilitate a full spectrum of services that were previously offered by the different 3 entities. But the rationale is that the fragmented approach was not working, and we were not able to consolidate all the work and have continuity in terms of the small businesses that we're supporting, both financially and non-financially. And for us to allow that and to include the cooperatives as part of the mainstream was then to merge the three entities, but also how do we then make sure that we expand the reach through the merged entity and that we improve our accessibility and our regional presence, which is very key for the merged entity. And we understand that some of the members have been engaging on the issue of the presence in terms of where we're located, but we are looking at the lease agreements that we have, and it's not easy to just cancel the lease, but we're looking at the leases that we have in the various offices in the various provinces or districts that we have across the country to say what is our next location, is this location the right one, for the businesses that we are targeting to be able to access, or we need to move to a different location where people are. And as these leases continue, we will then make different decisions as the new entity in terms of our regional presence and how we are and how we can be reached, or accessed by the small enterprises. Yes, we do understand, and we've had the committee regarding this matter, and we want to assure the committee that some of the leases, because we are merging, were renewed by 2 years. Some of them, they have less than 5 years to go. So as and when they expire, we'll really look at where we move and how we improve our footprint. And it is our intention that at least we're present in all districts across the country with the offices that we have. But then over and above that is an issue of the new entity then making sure that those relationships and with municipalities and other departments in terms of co-location, they really work for the benefit of the small businesses. And that's what we are doing. As I indicated, it's a timing issue. We are reviewing and would make the right decisions in terms of that for the entity. And we're also saying that we need to be able to pool the limited resources and be able to fundraise and make more money or attract more capital into this entity as we move along, so that we're able to reach out and to service more small businesses, as what we have and what we receive from government may not be enough for the mandate that has been given to this organization. And we look forward to then using at least our balance sheet to fundraise, which means our loans must perform, our impairments must be low as we move forward with this new entity, and also fixing the problems that we experience as the companies were operating individually. There are many challenges that we experienced, and there are many challenges also including the issues of employees, quality employees, due to the fact that there was a moratorium not to employ permanently over the past 3 years. Now, good employees were lost. We are also in the process finalizing everything to ensure that, at least in the first year of operation, we're able to stabilize this organization and have the right quality employees that would take this organization forward, including the issues of systems, which I will cover later. And that is the journey that we're in. It's an entity that is currently recruiting the executives. All our executives are acting, but we are recruiting, and we stabilize at the top and then stabilize at the bottom immediately after, and we'll have a better performing organization going forward. And it's a journey that will be working over the next 5 years to ensure that we deliver at the same time while we're fixing this organization, or we are building rather the organization from scratch, but also deliver on the mandate that we have and that we're here to commit that this is what we'll be delivering over the next 5 years. So it is an exciting space, but also it is a challenging space, but with a lot of opportunities for the new entity to be what it was meant to be. And we are saying that that's what we want to do, and we want to have to be then that groundbreaking entity, and as was envisaged through the business case. But also we want to make sure that we're aligned to the DDM model in terms of us looking at local economic development and assisting SMMEs or MSMEs or small enterprises or MSMEs and cooperatives within the local area where they operate, so that then they can grow from there. But also, how do they take advantage of the opportunities within the local environment in the areas where they are operating, so that they can expand throughout the country, and eventually, taking them to sell their products internationally. And also looking at how do we then make sure that we deal with the issues of cooperative banking institutions, because we believe they are very vital in fostering a thriving ecosystem for small enterprises to prosper. And for us, we are then looking at the rationale for including the CBDA, and we want to support those businesses. And we'll see as I want continue to present that we are looking at making sure that they play a big role, especially in the rural economy, and making sure that there's funding in that space. And for us, that is really, in summary, some of the matters that came through in the business case. What do we want to do? I won't go into details. I'll take this as read, but the DG has also spoken about some of the things. We are the implementing agent, and when the DG spoke about a coordinated ecosystem, we are then from the Act, as CEDFA, empowered or expected, to be an industry lead and a central coordinator in terms of the small enterprise ecosystem, and in doing so, driving improved accessibility, promoting partnerships, integration, and co-creation, and aligning with government priorities. So it's very important that we take our space as this entity to then make sure that we coordinate the enterprise ecosystem for the benefit of the small businesses. We want also make sure that we drive a future-ready and capable and ethical workforce. I've touched on that to make sure that we've got our employees that are for the new entity that are ready to service the customers using the technologies that are out there, and that's a journey that we are building as we started on the 1st of October, after we're given the business case, and after the entity was announced as meshed, and we are then looking at everything to implement, as I said. And also the important thing also for us is that we must have a proper knowledge hub, with the distinctive sector expertise to drive new product development and fintech solutions in collaboration with young innovators to take this entity to the next level. The third one is central digital platforms, and that is very important for us to be able to coordinate the ecosystem. We can't coordinate it on paper. Everything must be on the platforms, and that will continue to develop. We also, from our system point of view, we have issued the RFI. I think it has closed because we want to get the best system that is available. So with the ease work that is being done in getting us to that level. Also, we are saying that as the new entity, the members may have seen and through oversight that there was work that was done by the different entities before, but we're not really providing support, finance that is strapped in business support. So as a new entity, then our job is to make sure that the gaps that have been seen, that also members witness at some point, that as we move forward, we do not have those gaps, but that takes a lot of integration from the systems point of view and the people point of view, understanding that it is a period of merging, and there is a lot of uncertainty, but we're doing our best to make sure that our employees remain certain about the future, but making sure that we've got the right skills and that we use the skills audit to make sure that people are doing the jobs that they are able to do, and also that we put customer centricity at the forefront of everything that we do. And for us, as we match and place the employees, that's what we'll be looking for, including the skills that we need to be dealing with. We also are at the point, Chair, where we're saying our investment or pre-investment support must be differentiated and must be per client. Apologies, Chair, just a bit. Apologies for that, Ms. Chairperson. and we also want to, apologies, Chair, we also want to make sure that we provide differentiated, efficient pre-investment support and moving away from generic support. And this is the journey where we are busy making sure that our training material, all our materials then are being looked at and standardized to make sure that we provide sector-specific training, and also our incubators do things differently, and that we get the results that we need. And this all we're doing to make sure that also at the same time we've got clear life cycle case management to provide quality services, so we're able to measure the transactions as they come in, the period they take, and how long it takes for us to deliver the quality services and how to improve on that. And we are saying that the new entity must do all these things to ensure that the problems of the past entities are dealt with, and we're able to move forward as a new entity, and we're able to provide the services that we have to provide to our clients. And this is where we're saying we will have a different entity if all these are being done. And as we are saying, bit by bit, we are dealing with some of these issues. And we also believe that when we look back, all of us will have an entity that we are happy with, that is able to deliver the services. I won't touch much on this, but this is just a planning cycle. I would take that as read, and in terms of where we are aligning ourselves in terms of MTDP as an entity, and then now we're on the 7th administration. Also, I won't cover on this, but it just talks to how we measure the impact and the implementation in terms of what we would have done from all our inputs and activities that leads to us being able to deliver on our outcomes, and eventually the impact, in 5 years. And it's what that we'll be doing. Our activities and outputs is what we'll be looking at on a yearly, on a quarterly and yearly basis over the period to achieve what we need to achieve as what we'll set out as outcomes. In terms of the mandate, we all understand that this new entity was established in terms of the National Small Enterprise Amendment Act. Hence, we're here, hence the merged entity that is called SEDFA. We are a Schedule 3B entity as defined. These are legislative mandate and policy. I won't touch base on those. I would take them as read, except for highlighting that definition of a small enterprise to include the cooperatives, the cooperative financial institutions, cooperative banking, and also our normal MSMEs. So when we say small enterprise, we mean everyone that I've talked to. And as I said, in terms of the establishment mandate, we are, I will not waste a lot of time of the committees, but we are meant to design and implement programs as an entity now based on the Act that will support small enterprises across the country. And we use the word small enterprises to include even the cooperatives and also the CBIs, and also to promote service delivery network. I've spoken to that, and to promote and to support and promote, promote and develop cooperative banks and cooperative financial institutions, which is part of the work that we do. But also over and above that, we have to strengthen the capacity of the service providers to small enterprises. So if anyone is providing services to small businesses in terms of training and so forth, we're supposed to strengthen their capacity and train them. And that's why we need to coordinate this ecosystem to make sure that even the service providers also get the training. We do that. We train the trainer currently, but we need to scale up. That work is not something that we will be doing for the first time, but we do train the trainer through our learning academy, and also we're able to develop training manuals for them to utilize in various fields and sectors, and we'll continue scaling up that work to ensure that there's seamless and there's quality service across the small businesses in South Africa, and also then make sure that these businesses are able to compete both domestically and on the global stage as well. We also, in terms of the mandate, we are also expected to design and implement, as I said, these programs through building or facilitating the building of sustainable and competitive small businesses, through facilitating the promotion of entrepreneurship across the country. That will also come through as we show the work that we'll be doing to promote entrepreneurship, trying to make sure that we bring as many entrepreneurs to start their businesses in the country. And that includes also us assisting them with both national and international markets. So I'm just doing summary of this work, taking it as the work that has been also read. We, on this slide, I want to emphasize that we also have a dual mandate as a Section 3 government entity. We do have a dual mandate, and that mandate is that of a developmental in nature and also that of a commercial as well, because we have to, while we're getting some funds from the state, we have to also make sure that we also are a sustainable entity and we're able to generate income that will sustain this business, so that the service to small businesses continues to be offered, and we will deliver that through both our direct and indirect channels with the presence that we have in the country. As I mentioned, we are a Schedule 3B entity. In terms of alignment with NISAD, we are then aligned, based on what I've said, with the ecosystem enablement and support. We're also aligned with both what we're offering the sector support in terms of financial and non-financial support. We also aligned in terms of cost-effective, accessible support for all small or MSMEs. And this is evidenced by the work that we'll be providing through grants, also through funding, which is also blended funding, which reduces the interest rate on some of the programs that we will be offering, and while also at the same time promoting the commercial mandate of sustainability on well-established businesses, which must pay us correct interest rate for us to survive and sustain as an entity. And I will pass this, but the slide was just aligning that we are incorporating the NISAD game changes, and we are capitalizing the Khula Credit Guarantee. We will see the growth that we are planning for the guarantees to enable our businesses to utilize those guarantees to access funding from both the financial institutions and the non-banking institutions, and also improving our supplier credit guarantees in the market to ensure that even the small suppliers are able to go to entities like your Max Steel and able to get the product that they need at the back of our guarantee. And we'll be improving and putting more money into those. And also we are currently looking at revamping our Youth Challenge Fund into a different fund that will be accessible to all businesses. The DG spoke to these slides in terms of the entities of the jobs that we want to reach out to. And in supporting the mandate given by the department. I won't go back into it, and the chairperson has touched on these 1.8 million jobs. The DG also touched on us formalizing these the informal businesses as part of the mandate that we have, and also the 1 million businesses that we want to reach out to as part of the plan that we have. We are then saying that in terms of our response to the legislation and policy context, we are here to support businesses all the way from the pre-startup, which is ideation phase, to startup and to maturity. So at the same time saying, how do we assist businesses not to offer them to survive even through the decline stages? What strategies do we have? How to assist them, to redevelop themselves, redevelop their products so they can remain sustainable within the space. But we are supporting businesses across the whole spectrum from the beginning to the end, and that is the mandate that we have, through providing, as I said, that those DFI, which is the financial support activities, and the development activities. And we believe that in doing so, we can then uplift or prioritize certain industries, but also township and rural areas, and also prioritizing entities that are owned by women, youth, and persons with disabilities. And for us, that is very important, and that we also, at the same time, be the primary driver in funding small businesses, but also the capital that we lend through our direct and indirect financing channel becomes important, that we do it correctly and that we achieve efficiencies and we're able to get the money out and be able to drive transformation, job creation, and jobs retention throughout the period while supporting the small businesses and the entrepreneurs to grow their businesses. So that is very important as we move forward as a new entity. But also, it is our intention to ensure that businesses operating in the informal sector, as survivalist enterprises, are provided with the support needed to address the operational requirements and to graduate willing and able enterprises to register and formalize their businesses. And for us, it's very important that there's a differentiation between these businesses, whereby we're saying it is our role to support informal businesses, even if they are survivalist businesses. We have to support them through the mechanisms that we have been implementing. The issue for us is then to say, how do we do it correctly? How do we make sure that these businesses are not suffering, from some of the businesses that are seen to be not caring for these businesses? It's not for us an issue of disbanding models, but it's an issue of how do we make sure that the models that we believe are good, how do we monitor those businesses that we are utilizing to fund into the space? How do we make sure that the funding is cheaper and that these businesses are not exploited by the indirect channel partners that we have within the space, so that we can reach out to as many of these businesses? And that is our job then as a new entity, to make sure that our monitoring is strong and that we deal precisely with those that are not doing what they're meant to do in terms of our agreement with them. And also we then call out facilities in cases where there's been wrongdoing in terms of offering services to the small businesses. And that's what we are committing to do as the new entity. And we also, part of our task is that we make sure that we build a proper pipeline of investment-ready entrepreneurs through a comprehensive suite of business development and support services. And we're saying our business development support must be that channel that develops the small enterprises and channel them to the lending element. And we are then in the process of integrating all these systems to make sure that we have a clear view of how the businesses flow through what we now call the different departments or divisions, as opposed to what was sitting in different entities. And then we then support the commercially viable small enterprises. And it is our intention that we do that and to make sure that they are sustainable and that they grow and that they preserve jobs. I would not touch much on the mission and the values, Chair. I will take them as read, but it is our vision that we empower South African small enterprises for inclusive growth, transformation, and sustainable employment. And in everything that we do, we have to make sure that this vision is achieved and that we live according to our values. Chair, I'm hoping I'm not moving too quick. The chairperson, Honorable Chair, will guide if I'm moving very quick. I will slow down. And we say,
I think you're fine, CEO.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. Thank you very much. So we're saying our values, we term them I-Care. We talk to integrity, customer-centric excellence, agility, resilience, and entrepreneurial passion. And this is what we are now driving throughout the organization to achieve better results, that everyone must live according to these values of the new entity. And I've spoken a lot about what is in our mission. We talked about targeted support and coordinating the ecosystem. Chair, in terms of our strategic pillars, then as an organization, we are saying we can only achieve our vision of empowering South African small enterprises for inclusive growth and transformation as a sustainable employment if we make sure that the following pillars remain, and we always look into them and say, how are we achieving these pillars? And we're saying then our core business as an organization as we move forward is to promote and coordinate the small enterprise ecosystem, and everything around the ecosystem then is based on this pillar that we have. Even our strategy is based on this pillar, on this part of the work, and also our APP work is also based on this pillar. And we're saying the second pillar in terms of our core business is to facilitate access to business development support. The third one is to facilitate access to small enterprise finance. And the fourth one, and then is to accelerate sustainable growth, innovation, and competitiveness in terms of the businesses that are growing. And we do that through our pre-investment, investment, and post-investment phases, supported by our incubators, digital hubs, and accelerators in the space. But we have a developmental mandate from the BDS, or the business development point of view, all the way to when businesses are doing well, then they fit into our commercial mandate where we need to treat them differently. But everything starts from developmental all the way to commercial, making sure that the businesses at a lower phase of growth, they get all the development support, not only from just non-financial support, but also from what they get from interest rates and grants to grow them, to be ready also to take on huge amounts of debt, either from us or outside our organization. But at the same time, we need to make sure that we build a future fit and sustainable development and finance agency. And if we fail to do these ones right, we will never have a future fit and sustainable development agency. So in making sure that we reach our goals from our sustainable and solvency ratios becomes very important. And because we also, as an organization, have to work within certain rules and regulations for us to be an agency that is sustainable. And all this then leads to us providing those non-financial support and financial support to businesses, driving those through the ecosystem. Chair, we are saying that from a customer segment point of view, we are targeting, as part of work that we'll be doing and reporting to the committee, we are targeting micro and informal businesses through the model that we have, but it needs to be improved, it needs to be perfected, it needs to work for the informal businesses. We are also targeting micro formal businesses, but it also talks to us being able to formalize the micro space. We are also dealing with the small businesses in terms of innovation and growth, and medium established businesses, cooperatives, cooperative banking, social entrepreneurs, corporate entrepreneurs, and the delivery channel in terms of the indirect lending work. And that is the targeted customer that we are looking forward to servicing in the next 5 years. Yes, things may change, and reviews are possible to add. And we're saying we've got a lot of key partners that we need to work with. I won't name them one by one, but we're talking to private sector, public sector, we're talking to CPI, CFIs, commercial banks, national treasury, various government departments that are key to us delivering what we need to deliver as an organization. And we've got our key activities then that we say we are going to be embarking upon as an organization for us to achieve what we need to achieve. And that also talks to client activation management, business development services, lending and investment management. And we do also our work through our credit guarantee subsidiary KCG and our properties management subsidiary, which is our KBP. That manages properties, and we are reworking the properties to make sure that at least we provide also properties to small businesses that needs to be housed in some of our properties at a subsidized cost. And we're saying that there are other business activities that will support the work that we're doing. Key resources for us is our financial resources. We talked about funding and investments and how we're able to leverage more funding to fund into the space. And then our client access points, I've spoken to them, both physical and online. We also, skilled personnel becomes key for us to achieve what we need to talk, what we are talking to today. I've spoken to that also. Technology and infrastructure is it's not even a point of discussion at this point. I've spoken to it where we are in terms of that as an enabler for us to move forward, and also including digital platforms to manage the ecosystem and our partnerships, so that then the access to our services is clear. We envisage a situation where the discussions or engagements in small businesses, partners, either government or private sector, anyone whose clients and everyone that must be part of the ecosystem are enabled from district to district, and there's interaction via different platforms for small businesses, for both empowering them to get customers, but also for them to be customers of other people and to provide services, and also to tap into the private sector that will be building through this network and see opportunities. And all that, if we think we can do it on paper, we're never going to achieve anything. But we believe that through ecosystem and digital platforms, we'll be able to achieve that and improve these businesses. We are then saying we're going to continue to provide that through our direct lending channels, credit guarantee schemes, and BDS services, our provincial network, the branches, and then the partners that we will have. We then say our value proposition then is coordinating and unifying the small enterprise ecosystem, designing and implementing customized development programs for entrepreneurs, facilitating accessible, affordable, and tailor-made financial and non-financial support to help informal enterprises sustain and formalize, to help startup launch and scale, to help MSMEs grow and compete in protest sectors through customized high-impact project, also building a capable intermediary network for enhanced investment and quality enterprise support. I've spoken to that and the changes that we need to make, and also capacitating the CPIs to be professional and digitally enabled providers of affordable community banking. And we are saying that is our value proposition as the entity in moving forward. And everything that I've said encompasses then our business model as the new organization. And we also at the same time need to make sure that we manage our cost structure and are able to run the business and also are able to achieve or obtain revenue from the financing activities that we have, but also be able to get funding from donors, ESDs, and so forth, to come into the business, and our ability to leverage that depends on our balance sheet and our ability to provide good service to the client and make a name for ourselves throughout the ecosystem. Chair, I will skip the SWOT analysis, but it's very important that these are here because we understand our weaknesses, because those are what will help us to grow and to move forward. And also how do we tap into our strengths and turn them into the opportunities that we need. And some of the things I've spoken about it, in issues of the threats, which we came from the delay in terms of the merger that was coming for a period of 3 years, which has created a lot of instability within the different institutions. But also there are a lot of opportunities that if we take our place and we drive the ecosystem, we believe that we can be the entity that will leverage on technology and make sure that we reduce the time that it takes to deal with our businesses. And that will improve and make proper commitment as we continue to establish and put in the systems. As a start, we have numbers, but we'll improve those as we move forward over the next year or two as well. We are then saying our integrated delivery or service delivery model is summarized in this one page, where we're saying we want to provide the business development support at the beginning ideation stage, but also we also want to provide business development support for entities that have been funded through the process by ourselves or any other partner, because we are open into funding, doing business development support for every small business in the country. And we've listed what we do under the BDS in the pre-investment stage, and what we do in the BDS or business development services in the business support stage as well, Chair. We also are saying that then we take these businesses then through the pre-investment, investment, and post-investment stage, which we believe will create sustainability, and also we're able then to process transactions as businesses have been assisted in the pre-investment stage. But most importantly is that we are able to manage and run this portfolio properly, manage our debtors, make sure that there's client visit, there's financial assessment, and that we do work out in the restructuring for those businesses that are struggling. And for us, this becomes very important in supporting the businesses that would have funded and those that are funded through the various ecosystem. But how to provide mentorship, coaching, quality improvement, technology, productivity improvement, market access, business support that we said is tailor-made for these businesses, while making sure that we also improve on our loan origination and loan conclusion, which becomes very integral for us. But how do we do that? Or the first line was just talking to our service delivery programs, which we also do through our indirect financing channel, credit guarantees, which includes credit guarantees, non-banking institutions, the banks, and we're also looking forward to the cooperatives coming into this space, cooperative banking coming into this space to be utilized. We also do that through what we now call the Development Fund, which talks to all our developmental mandate, and the Commercial Fund, which talks to all our commercial mandates, so that we can balance the organization at the same time. And we need to make sure then that we do capital raising and resource mobilization. Our capacitation programs as an entity, we're saying our incubation of digital hubs and our accelerator programs become key in us capacitating their employees. Our cooperative banking development and capacity building services are also key as part of our capacitation programs in developing the small business enterprises in this country, and then capacitating the intermediaries and also the service providers that are providing services to the small businesses across the country. Those become key of our capacitation programs, while at the top is our delivery programs to make sure that we are then able to achieve what we need to achieve. So this is our delivery model as an entity. And these slides just explains the last slide in writing. I won't go into details. And this is the entity that we have that has the two main subsidiaries, which is our KCG and KPP, which are our main as a subsidiaries, while we've got investment in other entities, small investments, including your business partners, where we own shares as an entity. Functional design, as we said, is a new entity. This is how we are designed as a new entity, and making sure that then we're able to, all these things that I've been talking about, they come through in terms of the entity itself, in terms of business development services, the lending and investment, the credit risk, which is very important, credit and risk in managing our applications. By law, we're expected to have this function. Then the ecosystem management, legal and compliance, digital and transformation and innovation, which is more our IT, but we are very intentional about the transformation inside the organization, plus that of cooperatives, banking institutions, and also of our small businesses, hence the name that we've decided to choose. And then finance and human resource comes through. As I had indicated, our KCG is where our guarantees are. Our KPP, which is the cooler business premises, is where our properties also are located. We then derive income from various sources, from budget allocations to the finance income that we make as an entity because we are funding, to investment property income because we've got properties as part of our portfolio that are meant to yield income. There are challenges there where some of the tenants also refuse to pay, especially in the township areas. We are working with them to see how we can solve those problems. But we remain committed in providing the properties to small businesses. And we also get some dividends from like the likes of your business partners and so forth in terms of the business. We're looking forward to raising more money from the donor funding, CSI, ESG, and other derivative instruments. This just talks to where we want to be as an organization. How do we balance the developmental outcomes together with our institutional sustainability? As an organization, we want to see ourselves being here on the fourth quadrant, where we're able to balance the number of new small enterprises that have been established, or increase that, or balance increasing or managing this development outcome, where we are saying there must be an increased number of new small businesses established, improve the survival rate of the small businesses, increase the number of jobs created and sustained, increase the turnover, or make sure that the turnover of small businesses increases over a period of time, and that we have an increased number of small businesses that are competing in priority sectors. At the end of all, we're able to then say some that are doing well locally, how do we then make sure that they export their product? This is the ultimate development outcomes in terms of sustainability that we would like to achieve as an organization. And we would then, if we are able to do that while making sure that we are sustainable as an organization, that we meet all our solvency thresholds, and we're also able to be a profitable business. If we can operate here, then we would say we have achieved what we need to achieve as an organization, and everything is balanced. We've managed our impairments, we're able to do capital raising, we're able to achieve everything on the development fund as set out, and we're all able also to manage the risk. We'll then be able to say this organization is doing what it is meant to do. And it's not an easy balance, given that we are both the development also and finance institution, but we have geared ourselves to get to this level, both from the business point of view, the structure, the strategy, the structure of this business. Right, I will get straight into then what we want to achieve as outcome from the strategic plan. I've spoken about almost the first line, the second line, the vision, the mission. I've spoken about our business pillars. Now I'm here on what we call outcomes that we want to achieve under strategic pillar 1, which is to promote and coordinate small enterprise development ecosystem. We have 2 outcomes, which is increased effectiveness of ecosystem support and services for small enterprises. The second outcome from that pillar is increased access to financial services and economically transformed communities through our cooperative banking institution. That's what will come up when I unpack that pillar in terms of the strategic outcome. Strategic outcome 2 is under the pillar to facilitate access to business development support and incubation. We are saying that we want to make sure that the small enterprise sector growth and increased participation in the economy through providing the BDS services, and I'll unpack it further. The third pillar is expand access to small enterprise finance, and in doing so, we are saying that we want to see enhanced access to finance by small enterprises, as I have been alluding to. And the second outcome on that pillar is adequate capital to fund the growth and development of small enterprises at a scale. And this talks to both money coming from government, but also money that we'll be able to raise ourselves, to leverage from that to fund those businesses. The fourth strategic pillar is accelerate sustainable growth and innovation and competitiveness. And we have one outcome there, which is increased competitiveness and sustainable growth of small enterprise in priority sectors. The last strategic pillar, which is pillar number 5, talks about building future-ready sustainable agency, and I've said a lot about that also, and we'll see it coming up as being innovative, sustainable, and also a well-governed agency. With everything that we do, we are saying that really we'll know that we're being impactful if we're able to create innovative, sustainable, and competitive small enterprises contributing to inclusive economic growth and job creation. And all these things can be measured. The business that we are supporting innovative, and our incubators will play a big role in making sure that that work is being done for the small businesses, but also the work that we do through financial support will talk to sustainability and competitiveness of these small businesses that will be funding. At the end is to have economic growth and sustainable job created over the period. Going to details then, I would not touch on most of the things because the chairperson also touched on them. But from strategic pillar 1, we are saying that outcome 1.1 is that we want to see an increased effectiveness of ecosystem support and services for small enterprises. And I've said that we also want to see the number of small enterprises supported financially and non-financially, and that's the 1 million small enterprises supported financially and financially over the next 5 years. So what we want to achieve, coming both from an 90% of that as MSMEs and 10% of that from our cooperatives. And how do we coordinate the ecosystem then through the funding that we do indirectly and directly to achieve these numbers? And that's what we'll look back and see if this entity has been successful by year 5. And also in terms of the jobs, we are saying we're going to create 273,500 jobs and sustain 1.6 million from the businesses that are existing and leading to 1.8 million jobs. In terms of cooperative banking, we want to increase the number of cooperative banking members from 30,123 to 35,000 over the period. We also want to make sure that their deposits are increased to 100 million, and we'll utilize this against our credit guarantee to enable these businesses to leverage more and be able to then borrow more from the various parties in the industry for them to be able to offer funding. And if we can leverage this at the rate that we are doing currently, we can then inject billions of rands into the cooperative banking institutions over the next few years from a leverage point of view, while we make sure that we grow it to 100 million directly. But there's a leveraging effect that we must provide, and then increase the number of registered CPIs through the Provincial Authority to 35 over the period. And this 30 that we have currently is what we are working on now, and working on to make sure that they achieve scale and they're able then to achieve the mandate that we have and grow that over the period. We are saying under strategic pillar 2, outcome 2.1, the small enterprise sector growth and increased participation in the economy. We also want to make sure that at least from an outcome indicator, we grow the growth rate of new small enterprises established, at least increase by 10% over the period. Outcome indicator number 2 says survival rate of supported small enterprises. Also, this is a new indicator, and the first one was a new indicator we didn't have before. I also know that the ecosystem is a new indicator. We're saying we want to make sure that at least a minimum 75% survival rate from what we fund and from what we support as businesses. And that's a new indicator that we didn't have before, and we'll be tracking this over the next 5 years. The chair spoke about the 11.5 injection into the economy, 11.5 billion that we want to inject into small businesses over the period. We want to grow our Khula credit guarantee that is linked to outcome 3.1, which is enhanced access to finance by small enterprises. We also want to grow or increase the value of credit guarantees taken up, and from 450 million per annum to 2.5 billion over the next 5 years, which is very important for us, as this helps to get security for small businesses to get debt from financial institutions as well. But we're also increasing it in the supplier credit guarantees, as I said, where we provide guarantees to the suppliers to provide products. If, for example, we're talking about steel entities, I'm using the current example that if, for example, we have a guarantee with Max Steel, our small businesses are able to go there and be able to get credit based on the guarantees that we provide as SETFA. And that model is working well, and we want to increase that so that then we don't just access credit directly from us, but we use the channel partners that are available, that are willing to help us in the movement of supporting small business. And we believe that if we increase it to this level, which we also do believe that if everything goes well, we may exceed this number. And the numbers will be relooked at as we move forward. But we will make a huge dent in the space to enable businesses, whether directly or indirectly. Hence, the issue of channel partners becomes very critical for us, because instead of someone waiting for money from us to get steel from a steel supplier to go through our approvals and everything, we are saying we guarantee the supplier directly, and they're able to give them credit, and they know that at the back of our money, of our guarantee, if the small business defaults, they're able to claim the funding from us as SETFA. And that's what we do in the industry. We may not talk about these things much, but I think it's time that we speak about this, and we want to expand that because we've tested the model, and we want to expand that so credit is availed to these businesses at every level and platform. And we are saying that we need to raise also money ourselves as an entity leveraging from what we are getting from government and double our net book value to 3.2 billion over the years, and making sure that we improve our impairments to 30% and 10% on the development and commercial fund, respectively, over the period, and also have funds under management on behalf of other lenders, at least at 1.8 billion, because we also manage funds for other departments and other partners who want us to manage their funds. And the next one, strategic pillar 4, outcome 4.1, which talks to increase competitiveness and sustainable growth of small enterprises in priority sectors. We are saying that we want at least to increase that in the priority sectors by 5% over the period, but also the businesses under outcome indicator 4.1.2. Talk about a percentage of enterprises directly supported with growth in turnover by 5% per annum. We're saying that at least 30% of the businesses that we would have funded must have grown by at least 5% in terms of turnover over the period. And then graduation of incubators. This is part of us now as a new indicator, managing our incubators and make sure that the entities there graduate to the next level. We're saying at least 10% of them must graduate per annum, understanding that their programs are 2 to 3 years. So we want to make sure that there's graduation in this space. But then what happens to this business? Because once we monitor the graduation, then we know that there are businesses for us to fund as an agency that are ready for funding, having come through the incubation program. And this is part of us, of our integrating the value chain to make sure that we are also able to account for those that have graduated, and those that need funding, they're funded. Those that might be exposed to other funders at a larger scale, they are also exposed, and we can measure the impact of our incubation program over the years. And this is becoming critical for us. So we're measuring our development support impact from the incubation and also from a direct channels that we have internally through our business advisors. And we make sure that people that need funding or small businesses that need funding are also funded, and also dealing with the businesses that are assisted to export, and then our portfolio at risk to be reduced over the period through funding good businesses that are being assisted throughout the value chain. Strategic plan number 5, outcome 5.1, talking about an innovative and sustainable agency. This chair is internal. It looks to us being able to achieve unqualified audit outcomes as a business, and that our cost to income ratio is at least 70%, and that our loan book, as I said, it grows at least by 100%, as I had shown previously, and that our property portfolio in terms of the net property asset value is at least 240 million. And the rest just talks to us then being able to establish baseline, but also us being able to manage the district's information and exposing our small businesses into the district economy, and so that they're able to do well within the districts that they have. The next slide just explains everything that I've said in words, and I would not go through them in terms of the outcomes. Then part C, measuring our performance. Now we are getting into the APP outputs. Previously, I was dealing with the strategic plan and the outcomes that you need to have. And from here, we're then saying, how to achieve all these things over the next 5 years, and how to monitor and measure it annually, quarterly and annually, to make sure that we have these outputs and drivers of growth to small businesses. So to save time, here we've just listed each and every
CEO.
I had a search, Chair, power search, but I'm back. So to save time on this one, let me go straight into it through the APP instead of discussing it as one by one, but members will see that I will be discussing all of them through the ecosystem to BDS, to enhance finance, and what is it that we want to achieve across the pre-investment, investment, and post-investment stage. Maybe let me do it through the APP itself to save time instead of explaining. But the next slide just explains which departments or business functions are involved in which outcome. As you can see, business development is business development unit, but our ecosystem, the 3 units, which is our main business development support and lending and ecosystem, they partner in that, and I would take those as read. Straight into the annual targets that we have. Outcome 1.1 talks to increase effectiveness of ecosystem, and we've got output indicators under that we must be able to achieve. We are saying that we need from an output indicator to talk to the number of registered ecosystem partners onboarded. And we are saying that every year, at least we need to have 20 in year 1 and 25 in year 2 and 30 partners that we will be onboarding in the different years for us to achieve what we want to achieve. And these are partners that we want to build, not for just the benefit of us, but for the benefits of small businesses to tap in and be able to grow through the partnership. So they are not generic partnership, but we want to have strategic partnerships that will help these businesses. And we want to capacitate to solve the problems that we have. We have realized that we may be having problems in the models that we are running, but we need to make sure that the ecosystem service providers are capacitated, and through that, then we need to make sure that the service providers themselves, the small businesses, across training and funding, they are capacitated through training, business management training, customer management training, and how they really do their business. And we're saying at least 100 of them must be capacitated this year through training, 120 in the following year and 130 the year after. And we are solving the problem. These are the indicators that were not there, but we've heard, we've listened, and we're saying we need to have new indicators that will deal with improving our work. And we need then to make sure that training happens and that these businesses that we're saying must help our businesses, they are assisted in terms of how to run their businesses and how to provide quality services to our entrepreneurs. And we're deliberate about this, and we'll then provide results in terms of the training that we'll be doing. So the partnership will work, the training will also come in, and we're saying in doing all these things, also we want to monitor the number of women entrepreneurs supported, and we didn't have this indicator as different entities, but the new entity brings that to say at least 2,000 businesses as a start this year of women-owned businesses must be supported either financially or non-financially in everything that we do. And it's a start for us, and we want to manage and monitor that. And we're saying that at least get to the quality of the ecosystem managed. We're saying the percentage of stakeholder satisfaction with the quality of ecosystem. We're saying we need to measure how our stakeholders are satisfied with the work that we are doing through the ecosystem and the clients at 80% measured in year 1. We need to achieve at least 80% of that satisfaction. And we're also talking to percentage of registered ecosystem partners, reporting to a centralized central technology. At least 50% of the partners that we would have engaged must be reporting, which is now, obviously for now, a tall task, but we are determined to see if by end of the financial year, this will be met. We're starting with the work. It takes time for technology to come through, but we are positive that at least by the second year, we'll be able to meet all our deliverables. As you'll see later, that the technology platforms will be finalized by next year as we start working on them currently. And this slide just explains all that I've just explained here, but we're introducing new indicators and new measures to deal with the current challenges that were experienced by the previous entities, and we are creating watertight situations and solutions. The next one, Chair, is outcome 2.1, which talks to informal small enterprises provided with formalization. And our output indicator is number of informal small enterprises provided with formalization. This is also a new indicator that we have. We're talking about at least 10,000 in the current financial year and growing in the next years. And we're talking about promoting entrepreneurship. I spoke about this earlier. And output is that we need to make sure that we do promote entrepreneurship. And we're talking about then the number of potential entrepreneurs reached through entrepreneurship awareness and promotion sessions. We're looking at least 45,000, growing from 22,000 in the past year to 45,000 at least this year and growing. And this becomes a feeder into the system, because if we don't do this, we will not have new businesses coming in and growing into the space. And we want to do more of it going forward. You will see that we have new indicators, but also in some we have improved performance. Then the next one talks to the entrepreneurship development programs implemented. We've got 3 in the output indicators under this. The first one is the number of township and rural-based small enterprise supported with business development support. Here, this is business development support activities to rural and township businesses. We are looking at 20,000 of those businesses being supported in the current financial year and growing, and the number of youth owned businesses supported to access funding. So we are deliberate now that we're not just supporting youth owned businesses, but we need to help them be able to be ready for funding. And we're saying at least 1,000 of those will do in the current financial year, and them accessing funding will be proof that this has been done and achieved. And the number of small businesses supported with business development support in the urban areas, we're looking at only 3,000. Chair and members will note the difference. We are saying that in the township and rural, we're targeting at least 20,000 of these businesses. In urban areas, we're only doing 3,000 of these businesses because we want to make sure that the township and rural businesses are prioritized in what we're doing, while at the same time not leaving the urban businesses behind. But the numbers there, you can see that the support that the business development support that we want to provide to township businesses outweighs the number that we want to do in the urban areas, and that's a deliberate strategy by ourselves. And we look at number of cooperative enterprise supported with business development support. We're looking also at number of enterprises supported through the incubation program, which I've talked or I spoke to earlier. And the next one is jobs created, which is now unpacked, and job sustained, which is unpacked from what we said we want to achieve from the 5-year strategy. And this is what we will be achieving through the business development support stage. And we have separated the jobs in business development support, jobs in finance, and jobs in post-investment, so that we can measure and see the impact that we have, so that we don't just lump them. And when we report, we'll see them then coming through the pre-investment stage, the incubation stage, and the lending, and also the post-investment, so that there's a clear separation of what we're talking about when we're talking about jobs. As I said, the next slides just explain what I have been explaining. And moving on to outcome 4, so the chairperson and the members. Moving then to the next outcome, which is outcome 4, which talk to post-investment, which is also under the BDS unit. We're saying that we want to improve our collection rate at least 85% as we establish, improving to 87 and 90%, which means what we fund must be businesses then that are sustainable, that can pay us back, and we must support them throughout the way. Number of businesses participating in project sectors, we want to increase that by doing 100, 110, and so forth as we move forward. The mentorship training and coaching, we want to make sure that at least 22,000 businesses in the country are trained, mentored, and coached throughout the year, and growing that over the years. And again, we are talking about quality improvement clients, at least 150 clients that are still productivity improvement, 250, and the number of enterprise supported with local market readiness, 330. Number of small enterprise supported with export readiness, 330 also, and then linked to local markets, looking at 110 as we start and growing that going forward. And that covers the business development support element of our work. And as I said, then it talks to the jobs created and jobs sustained through the post-investment. Having covered all these slides, we are saying from a BDS or business development point of view, that's what we'll be doing as an agency. And this slide provides a reading of what I was saying for the members if they want to refer to it. On the cooperatives banking side, we are saying now we're moving to outcome 1.2 with the different outputs and output indicators. On the first output here is the CPI is digitized. We have a problem. challenge currently. Even when the CPIs came to present to the committee, they did speak about the problem that they have regarding the availability of digital systems for them and how expensive they are. And we are saying that becomes our new indicator. We want to assist them with the systems to make sure that at least they're digitized, they're able to offer their services to clients, and they're able to manage and monitor their loan books. And we want to do that over the next years, increasing it by 10% every year in terms of achieving what we need. And then also the next one is CPI supported to access funding. At least we must be able to, in the first year, fund 10, the next year another 10, and the following another 10, because we're talking about the number that we have, which is 30 CPIs that we are talking about. And as we grow them, because we want to monitor and see growth and see that the model is successful, and then continue to fund, so we don't have an epic failure in this space. And then also those that are accessing, the percentage of those accessing national payment system, we're talking about 10%. And this covers the cooperatives banking element in terms of what we want to do in this space. And this next slide explains exactly that and how it will definitely work. The lending and investment part, outcome 3.1, talking about enhanced access to finance by small enterprises. We are saying that in chasing that 11.5 billion over 5 years, we are saying that over the next few years, we need to do and inject money into the economy with the approvals under output indicator 1 being 190 million in the first year, growing to 1.3 billion in the second year, and so forth. We're saying that our disbursements then will start at 792 million, grow to 1 billion, and 1.1 billion over the years as we increase our approvals, because there's a linkage between that and the disbursement. And that is what those that will be doing in the development fund, and the number of enterprises then that will finance, because that includes microfinancing, is 94,500 in the first year, 126,000 in the second year in the development fund. And then we've got what I said, it's our commercial fund, where we're saying we want to do at least in the first year 330 million through the commercial fund, and also be able to disperse 264 million through that fund, financing 5,250 small enterprises through that process, because that is more commercial. And Chair, also taking most of it as read, I've spoken about credit guarantees, and this is how then we're planning to make sure that we get to that 2.5 billion over the next 5 years, where we increase the value of guarantees taken up. And I've spoken about that number and how we're going to also increase the supplier credit guarantees over the period, Chair, and that's dealing with our turnaround times. And as you said, as we implement systems, these will improve drastically over the period. We have to have a start, but we are planning that when we finish our systems by next year, we'll see a lot of improvement. The next one talks to the jobs that will be created through this funding also, because we separated jobs so that we're able to account properly through funding, through BDS, and through post-investment services that we do. And as I said, this explains the lending element. As we get to program 4, which talks about capital management, this talks to adequate capital raising to fund growth by ourselves, and the functions and the departments that are responsible for that are listed. And we are saying that we need to look at outcome 3.2, talks adequate capital to fund growth and development of small enterprises at a scale. The output there is resource mobilization to expand support to small enterprises. The output indicator is the rand value of additional capital that we have raised, and we're talking about 1.6 billion in the first year and growing in the next years. The rand value that we're going to get from private sector, which is the output indicator number 2, we're talking at least 200 million in the current year and growing, and that's the money that we go out to try and raise as the business, and managing our blended default rate at least to 14.5%. And reducing our impairments then over the years to 30% and 15% on the new book. And it's very important that we will be showing the new book of SEDFA, and we will then be managing the impairments on the new book while working on the existing book old book to make sure that at least we do get payments, but also we assist those businesses that are struggling in that space. And we're looking at both the development fund, 30% and 10% on the commercial fund on the new book as we move forward as the new entity. And managing funds then at least 600 million growing to 1.2 billion in the next financial year. This program, Chair, is more corporate support. It talks to our digital transformation journey and also us getting unqualified audit opinion. It talks to us increasing our net asset value. In the first year at least, have it at 3.1 billion. Also talks to us talking to the cost income ratio, managing it at least starting at 78%, 74 and 70 to achieve that 70% over the 5-year term. Talks to our collection rate that we need to improve over the period in terms of our rental properties. It talks to our systems, then we're saying at least 40% of the system must be implemented by end of the year, with all the systems and being in by end of the next financial year to enable us then to achieve what we want to achieve as an organization from effectiveness and SMME growth. And still under the same outcome 5, we talk about a new indicator that we put in, which talks to the percentage of end-to-end KCG portfolio management system developed again for our KCG, so that we have a see-through with every partner that we have within KCG, and also again building systems for our intermediaries, so that at every time we have a see-through. And that for us becomes important as new indicators that we are bringing in, as I said, to solve the current challenges that we have, so that we are able to reach out to the small businesses the best way we can. I would leave, Chair, the rest because they are more of internal in terms of the surveys that we do, the researches that we do, and employee survey as we start as a new entity. There's, as we said, there's a lot of uncertainty that we are dealing with as we place and match employees. We'll start measuring the satisfaction. It may come in at lower levels, but we're planning to grow that over the period through assurance and making sure that we take care of our labor force. And again, we wanted to make sure that all of the investigations that we start and finish, at least 80% of them are completed in a financial year. And the next section is more on the risk and mitigants, but also the financial section where there is, we're saying there is support for the programs that we have estimated currently. We know that there's still going to be a budget vote, but at 2.9 billion per year coming through. And we are saying that all the work that we need to do, yes, we're committing quite a lot, but the funds to run that work is limited. It is important for us then to raise our own money so that we're able to achieve what we need to achieve. Yes, we rely on government for the base, but we must raise funding if we were to achieve the goals that we've set for this entity. This entity cannot operate on a small budget, but it's what we get. And our department also doesn't get a lot of money. Actually, they give most of what they get to us as an agency to implement. But that is where we are from a country point of view and allocation to small businesses, which is not a lot of money given the task and the mandate that we have to change the small businesses. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, CEO. That was a long presentation. Starting from the director of the department, Manzini, I really want to say you have prepared, and thank you for the presentation. Honorable members, there are the 2 presentations in front of us. I am expecting hands so that we talk about the presentations. We give comments where they are needed. If ever there are questions, you question them in that order. I will then request the Honorable Chris Malimacha, because he requested that he is at the airport and he'll be boarding in no time. So even if he did not raise his hand first, honorable members will pardon with me. I'm going to allow him to be the first one. As I'm busy noting the other hands, Honorable Malimaja, you may take us through with your questions. Over to you, sir.
No, thank you, Chairman. I'm very disciplined. I raised my hands like any other person who don't want special attention. And I really thank you, Chairperson. Allow me to take this opportunity and thank the department. Thank yourself as I greet members on the platform, viewers at home. Chair, let me have this general comment that will cover both. I want it to be noted that as we note this very comprehensive presentation, detailed for that particular matter with hopes that indeed for 5 years it really gives more hope to those who were in the wilderness, especially in the economy. That when we talk of rural and urban, I would want to see a situation where we go a bit deeper when we deal with rural. There is this notion that the rural provinces, you will name, for an example, you will say Limpopo, Northwest, you will name all of them. But in them, you will find Polokwane, which is a state, and it's an urban. Now, in that particular rural province, you have got urban in it. So when you say you are doing this way, and you say the Limpopo is a provincial, it's a rural province, you are not necessarily going where it matters most. Where it matters most is at the villages. So where we have a very well-developed infrastructure, speaking wise in terms of the village, one would say such activity has to be going there, not necessarily going to a township of a rural province. Classical example, if you take Nkuankua and Lenyenye, those are the township in Limpopo. But there are surrounding villages such as Dan, surrounding villages such as Kabine. I'm giving this. If you go to KZN, you'll have your Josini. Yes, you have got Umlas. So we need to be taking our services to where it matters most. The reason I'm saying that, Chair, is that we want people in the home state not to travel longer distance, going to what we will term a rural province, but in a township. So if we simplify that way, one will be very much comfortable with that. The plan is very noted, and I really want to thank those who sit and plan it for 5 years. However, Chairperson, for the department, allow me to pose this question that I think I need clarity, given the allocation of millions of programs in the 2025-2026 financial year over the medium term. What specific strategies, performance monitoring system, and accountability mechanism will the Department of Small Business Development implement to ensure that these funds are efficiently and effectively utilized across the various sub-programs? Furthermore, how will the department ensure that these expenditures directly contribute to the strengthening strategic leadership, improving institutional capability, internal efficiency, and ultimately enhance its ability to deliver on its mandate to support the development, sustainability, and competitiveness of the small enterprise across the country, Chairperson. That's how I'll leave it to the department. Then to CITFA, CEO, another job well done. And I want to emphasize, Chairperson, that the mistake that we must not do as a committee, department, and as a nation is to take things that were happening in the 3 entities and cast aspersion to a newborn baby. CITFA is very new, and for your information, I never thought, new as it is, it can come with this kind of a plan. And job well done to the team. SETFA is very new, but it says we are here to address mistake of the past. What kind of mistakes have we learned from the past? Where the entities had some other institution to do works is where we are going to improve. And one of that, I will want the department to note that when you deal with intermediary, ensure that you place good correctional measures that will ensure that the very same initiatives that we came with must not fail us. These questions will also be in line with the chairperson. The credit guarantee mechanism is indeed to be enhanced and positioned as a key transformative tool to significantly improve access to credit for small enterprises. Could you provide detailed insight into the department's plans for strengthening the mechanism? Especially, how will the department foster collaboration and coordination with a broader network of both banking and non-banking credit providers to ensure that the credit guarantee system effectively supports small enterprises, mitigate risk, promote financial inclusion across the underserved market? CEO and the chair of SETFA. How does SETFA plan to establish itself as the leader, as the industrial leader, if not the leader of industry, and central coordinator within the small enterprise development ecosystem? Especially, what strategies will be employed to enhance accessibility and service quality through partnership, integration, and co-creation aligned with the government priorities? Additional, how will SETFA strengthen the capacity of intermediary institutions, manage the centralized technology platform, and implement a national map of service provider with defined standards to ensure consistency and high quality support that drives sustainable growth, job creation, resilience across the economy system? Intention, you'll always know that we are of the view of jobs, but there will be sustainability. Lastly, Honorable Chair, how does SETFA plan to expand financial inclusion and drive economic transformation in underserved communities by strengthening community-based intermediaries, the communities that I said earlier on, as accessible and community-focused financial service providers? Especially, what target strategies will be implemented to support the CBI digitization, capacity building, and regulatory compliance to position them as the preferred financial intermediary within their communities and the broader small enterprises development ecosystem? Additionally, how will SETFA prioritize support in the DDM pilot district to maximize local economic impact, including efforts to grow core deposit, improve access to savings, and enhance the viability of tailor-loaned product for the small enterprises? Thank you so much, Chair. Thank you so much. And I really note the report.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Malemacha. We are now going to listen to the Honorable Member Kruger. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Chair, and appreciation to both presentations. I think it took very, very many hours and to put this presentation together. And Madam Chair, and I must say, I think from both sides, SETFA and the department, it's the best strategic plan I saw in this 10 years or 11 years of me being part of small business development. And I want to thank them. And my feeling is that we are now busy moving in the right direction to serve our people on the ground, small business and entrepreneurs. Madam Chair, both the presentation, small business, the department and SETFA are talking about coordinating small businesses across the spectrum, because we all know there's a small business most probably in every sector of in South Africa. So each department got its own small business sector. So the only way that small business development, our department, is going to take charge of small businesses in South Africa is not by coordinating, is by making sure that all the small businesses in different departments are falling under this department. And they must come over to this department with the budgets. Then we can look at the broader way on small business development. So, in the past, there was a lot to say about MSUs, and it never, I can't remember of one department where there was a member of understanding signed by two departments. So we need to have a broader view on small businesses in South Africa. That's my first point. Madam Chair, the second point, yesterday in DTIC, the department introduced the omnibill that they're going to put a table before the end of this financial year on reducing red tape. And they're going to look on a very, very broad spectrum. Every single legislation that has an influence on business, they're going to have impact assessments and so forth. I mean, we must still see the bill. But that is what they're going to do. And so I think when we talk about red tape, and I'm very happy when a large portion of this presentation, we talked about red tape in the department, or red tape for small businesses. So the thing is that I think the two ministers must speak to each other. Who's going to do the job, and where's the money coming from? So if DTIC going to do the job, this red tape impact assessments, this omnibill, then we might as well step one step back and let them do that, and save that money to develop our small businesses. From my side, I introduced two private members' bill, one in the 5th Parliament and one in the 6th Parliament, and imagine how far would have us been if those bills was found acceptable by this committee. And then the red tape framework. I'm still waiting for the red tape framework from the department, but it's now another ball game when we talk about the. I'm sorry, my it seems like my internet it's a bit unstable, so I take my video off. So we need to have the discussion with DTIC and see how we can coordinate, seeing that we are coordinating the ecosystem where small businesses must operate. Madam Chair, the question to CETFA, although we talk about the footprint of CETFA, I would like to know from them how exactly, and I think my colleague that spoke before me also mentioned it about the footprint in our rural areas, the footprint in our areas where there's fire in the heart of entrepreneurs, but they don't have the means to get to the offices of SETFA. So I just want to hear the practical part of how are we going to make sure that we reach every single entrepreneur of and every single young person, or doesn't matter, but genuine entrepreneurs who have a good idea and who want to start a business and passionate about it, but the means to get to the office is not always there. So I just need some practical feedback about that. And then, Madam Chair, I'm just going to misuse my opportunity and just ask the question, when are we going to talk about the way forward of appointing the Ombud? Because it's mentioned in the department's presentation, and the Ombud forms a big part of ease of doing business, and I think we need to make sure that this committee are starting discussing the way forward as soon as possible. Madam Chair, I thank you, and again, thank you for the department and SETFA. I think it was a job well done. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kruger. I think the last question belongs to us and not the department, because the matter was referred back to the committee. And when the matter was referred to the committee, we already had a program for 2 weeks, last week and this week. So the matter that we touched will be discussed next week in our meeting. Thank you. I'm sure you will welcome this, Honorable Kruger, though you were still going to receive the program and you were going to be online with what is going to happen next week. Thank you very much. We are now in the hands of Balungile Sapo. Over to you, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon to you, honorable members, and everyone on the call. Chair, I don't have many questions. And comments. Maybe let me start with the entity. I think, Chair, the committee will need to exercise a little bit of patience to the entity, because you can see that there is a potential. But what needs to be done is to assist the entity to stabilize. Part of the things that will make it stabilize, Chair, is to ensure that at least there is a stability at the level of the executive board chair. Because we can have these plans, we can have a strategy, but if there is no human resource and a capacity to drive it, we will be like Silinde Ipanoyerek. Now, the committee must assist the entity to ensure that it does have a capacity and it stabilizes, so that all these plans, because there have been targets that have been achieved previously, yes, of course, with some not being achieved, with some corrective measures being implemented successfully and some not implemented successfully. But I think part of its problem, it's because, yes, it's new, it seemed to be floating, because there is no stability at the leadership level. And that is important. Just one question for the entity then, Chair. To say, in terms of the service delivery programs, acting CEO, I just want specifics. What are those service delivery programs that you are planning to do, and how each of them is going to enable the integrated and collaborative support for MSMEs across all stages of the investment cycle? That is my only question to the entity. On the department, Chair, I think I have a problem with the word financial and non-financial support in the same sentence. Because the definition of non-financial support is blurry, like spectacles coming out of the steamer. It's very blurry. You know, you set targets. You say 2,000, or to find out, and then you say it's financial and non-financial, or to find out that the financial support is 5% of that 2,000. I think at some point we must have a discussion about the financial and non-financial, and we clearly define the non-financial support, and then we separate the two when we make targets, because being them on the same line, it compromises service delivery at some point, because we must agree what is important is the financial support to drive service delivery. Yes, financial support is important, but so long as the definition is not clear, we are still going to have a problem. I just want to ask DG, when is because I was really hoping, when is the department intending to establish incubators that only speak to youth development? And linked to that, is there any collaboration between the department and innovation centers to ensure that those innovators who already have a product to take it to the market, at least there is an integration and a smooth integration for them to get support, because they seem to be struggling to get the support in terms of our portfolio while they are integrated from the Department of Science and Innovation. Is there any collaboration between the two? The third thing, Chair, is on Program 1. There is an indicator that speaks to community engagement and civil society forums. Very good. I think that is important. But I'm not happy that it's only 4. But now that there is an effort, that is important for me. And it goes as far because there is also an intention to write articles to showcase the work of the department. That's very good. It's important. But what is important is to make sure that what we showcase does make an impact to the people and is an effective and meaningful impact to our communities. The other thing, Chair, is on the 2 reports, research reports, that is the target for the department. You know, Chair, previously there's been a research report that almost costed the department R1 million, and I've been requesting that particular report, because my view is that you conduct a research because you want to make a certain informed decision. Now, DG, I don't want the report. Can you at least provide us with the abstract of that report, the findings and the recommendations? You can leave the body, it's okay, because we've been waiting for a very long time. It's okay, you can leave the body, just the abstract, the findings, and the recommendations. And now I want to check these 2 reports. If the previous reports you spent almost R1 million on it, now these 2 reports, what do you want? What is the decision the department wants to achieve? As I said, you conduct a report because you want to make an informed decision of a certain something. Is there anything, or is just to make sure that at least there is the research report produced? I want to check that. On program 2, Chair, on the private public agreement or partnership, the department has been struggling to meet the target in this particular area. And the response has been one to say the department has done its part. It's only on the side of the other partner. Now, I want to check if there is anything that is planned to mitigate this. What are we going to do differently to make sure that this target is also met? On program 3, Chair, the department has also been struggling to meet a target around the business infrastructure, either for building or refurbishment. And the response has been always to say we are struggling to find our feet in municipalities. I just want to check, is there anything different this time around? Because I know that we have been not necessarily meeting this target. The second last thing, Chair, what are we going to do differently, DG, in terms of improving the IMEDP program? Because yes, we have been meeting the targets, but its effectiveness is something else. What are we going to do differently this time around? The last thing, Chair, is on program 4. An indicator that was abandoned at some stage, and I can see now that it has been brought back, is on the digital transformation strategy. I want to check now that it has been returned back. What plans do we have? Because I know in the previous 2 financial years, before 2024-25, it was there, but it was abandoned last term, last financial year. What are we going to do it differently this time around? And why did we bring it back? And why was it abandoned at some stage? Thank you very much. Those are the things I wanted to raise.
Thank you very much, Honorable Sapo. Honorable Ngobeni, you are next. Honorable Lerato Ngobeni.
Sorry, Chair, the mic was elusive. Thank you very much. Good afternoon to all the colleagues on the platform. Thank you very much for the presentation. Both presentations, I'm going to try and just deal with both my submission, Chair, on both fronts of the presentation, and I've tried to make my point as succinct as I possibly can. Perhaps let me just start by saying that we support all efforts aimed at us enabling micro, small, and medium enterprises to thrive. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around what the difference between SMME and MSME is. However, I think that it's important that we must confront what is critical in this sector that has crippled it so far, especially in township and rural economies. I think that's a sector that is very important for addressing. We've got issues. We've just celebrated Youth Day. You know that youth unemployment has been literally chronic for the last while in our country. But this sector is one that really can help us in terms of resolving this issue, particularly unemployment among the youth. But that's not ring-fenced around the youth alone. I think everybody else can benefit from this sector functioning optimally. Chairperson, the department's presentation notes the intention to reform 28 laws and regulations that pose challenges due to excessive red tape. I think we've spoken about this red tape issue for the longest time, and I think it's commendable that it is receiving due attention as the presentation states, and we hope that that intention, and I think, in my submission, I wanted to note and highlight the 3 words that I got from the presentations that spoke to an intention to arrive at more qualitative outcomes and to improve the reputation of the department, because I think it's very clear that the department does not have a great reputation. When we are on the ground, we realize this. But we must ask the question then, where is the implementation roadmap? And how are these reforms going to be prioritized for maximum impact for the most overburdened business zones that are our townships and rural areas? The presentation also, Chairperson, highlights the proposed business licensing bill. We believe that this is a crucial opportunity to bring about what is long overdue in order for the chaos in the informal economy to be dealt with. However, we believe that unless this legislation includes robust enforcement, it won't effectively address the saturation of unregulated and in some areas illegal people operating their businesses in our communities. And so it brings me to this question, Chairperson, which is ever elusive. And I asked it in the previous meeting that I was present in, I think two Wednesdays ago. I asked if the department is collaborating with Home Affairs and other law enforcement to enforce this 500 million capital investment that is required for foreign nationals to operate businesses lawfully in South Africa. And I did reference the Immigration Act in this regard. And I was given an answer that was insufficient because the competency was placed elsewhere. However, I want to come back and say we do have net joints, etc. And so I'm hoping that in this meeting, I'm going to get a definitive answer. And I want to also place it on record, Chairperson, this is not the only session where I ask such a question. So I continue to ask it because I have not received the answer. And so I'm hoping that this is going to be a moment where I receive the answer, Chairperson. It's important because if we don't enforce the laws equally across the board, it undermines local enterprise development as well as our immigration laws, which is something that we're very passionate about. Chairperson, furthermore, I want to highlight the part where the department claims that 100 municipalities will adopt this e-registration system. The question in this regard I want to ask is, how is this system simplifying the business registration process for street traders and spaza shop owners and not just becoming another layer to the bureaucracy? Because I don't think we can afford to digitize dysfunction in this regard. The other part to my question, Chairperson, or my observation with the two reports, but now I'm dealing with the first report, is there's mention of over 2.1 billion rand, which will be allocated to enterprise development. I would like the department to let South Africans know how much of that funding is earmarked for supporting formalization, compliance, training, and regulation of the informal economy. I didn't find that to be as explicit because if we're not budgeting for enforcement and compliance, then we believe, Chairperson, that we will be budgeting for failure. Let me address penultimately, Chairperson, the second presentation for SIDFA. I think here it's really just a comment to say that South Africa's economic recovery will not be built, Chairperson, in boardrooms, in presentations, and where we are. We believe that it will be built in the informal sector, particularly in the spaza shops and the informal trade and the rural trade, by South Africans who are really brave, Chairperson, to continue to fight to survive in our economy that is, stagnant or not growing at all. We are hoping, as always, we live with aspirations that things will turn around and that things will be on an upward trajectory again. But as we stand now, with regressive growth in the economy, we believe that that sector really needs a lot of support because it can deal with a lot of the issues that we are dealing with in our communities. And so I think as we stand now, I will concur with the other colleagues. SITFA is new, but as I said, we don't want to just bundle up, one dysfunction over the next, create a new entity that's not going to really turn things around. And so as we stand now, given that, I know the previous speaker mentioned that they've just started, the speaker who spoke to this report, we welcome the long overdue consolidation. We do support the fact that, fragmented support services under the new entity that is called SIFA will go a long way in assisting us to get over this hurdle. The question I have for this presentation, Chairperson, is whether SITFA is structured to serve South Africans first. I really need that to be spoken to, because we cannot allow the consolidation of broken institutions to become a centralized or a centralization of failure. I think we must insist that SITFA be judged not by what it promises, but by what it delivers to South Africans at the coalface of all of these economic hardships. And so in conclusion, Chairperson, I want to reiterate that the informal economy cannot be left to self-regulate. We need to cut this red tape once and for all, but we also need to tighten the tape around those operating outside of our laws, because in the end, economic justice and legal compliance must really go hand in hand. And it is our hope that we will be prioritizing our own citizens, and that we will be prioritizing these sectors so that they benefit our people, and we can finally have a good story to tell at the end of those five years that we speak to now. And with those thoughts, Chairperson, I offer my support for the report. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ngobeni. I think
the plan, rather. Sorry, it's parliamentary language gets to you. Thank you.
It's fine. I'm sure all of us are hearing what is being said. And I was saying to you, Honorable Ngobeni, thank you very much. Today we are not in a hurry because there's no plenary. I'm sure all your questions will be answered. And even the other members, if they feel that they've been asking one question every now and then when we're having the meeting and the question was not being responded to, I think today they can do as you did and put it forward again. And I'll request the department led by the Deputy Minister and the DG, and our Chairperson of SETFA, CEO included, that they should try to cover all the questions today, because we are not in a hurry. Though we need to finish off and go and have our lunch, but today is our day, and we are so fortunate. We are building South Africa here, and we need to move in a correct direction. Thank you very much, Honorable Ngobeni. We are now in the hands of Honorable Singh. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Chairperson. Greetings to yourself, the other honorable members, officials, and all South Africans watching. Chair, I would like to just convey my appreciation for the presentations. And I think I must welcome a lot of the input that was made over the last while that have now been included in the presentations. I do just want to raise a few concerns and regarding these presentations. Chair, regarding the job inputs, I welcome the inclusion of the 3.8 million Rand jobs target, which I've consistently advocated for. However, it's concerning that the target isn't broken down by program. And this raises serious questions about whether the department knows which of its initiatives are effective in creating jobs and which are not. And there is also no clear definition of what constitutes a job created or job sustained. It cannot be that every existing job is automatically counted as sustained simply because a business received some form of support. For this target to have real value, transparency, disaggregation, and credible definitions are essential. And Chair, I've raised this on numerous occasions previously. The incubator and intermediary programs. I note that the department intends to continue with its incubator and intermediary financing programs, despite their performance being underwhelming, to say the least. What is most concerning is the lack of clarity on how these programs will be restructured to deliver better outcomes. Without a clear plan for improvement, these programs risk being another case of repeating failure at the expense of real impact and meaningful support to MSMEs. Chair, I believe the most critical part in the plans and strategies that have been presented to us is understanding and acknowledging what the challenges faced by MSMEs are and what will be done to overcome these challenges if we want to have better outcomes. And I am extremely concerned that two major challenges that are having a direct negative effect on the ability of MSMEs to survive and thrive are not included. The first one is the unreasonable labor requirements imposed on MSMEs. Extending bargaining council agreements to MSMEs, while well-intentioned, is counterproductive. It entrenches inequality between large and small employers, discourages hiring, and locks millions out of the formal economy. Bargaining council agreements should not be extended to MSMEs. These agreements impose wage and compliance standards generally negotiated without MSME representation, creating an unfair burden on small businesses. Small business lacks the financial and administrative capacity to meet these obligations, which are designed for large established firms. And this leads to job losses, discourages formalization, and hampers growth, everything that we are trying to achieve, especially among youth and entry-level workers. During oversight visits by the Portfolio Committee, it became clear that most jobs created by MSME beneficiaries do not meet bargaining council requirements. If strict labor law compliance were enforced, many of these businesses would be forced to shut down, sending their employees back into the unemployment queue. These small businesses are not threatening larger businesses or distorting the market. They're simply trying to survive, grow, and create jobs. Forcing them into a one-size-fits-all labor regime only kills opportunity where it's most needed. MSMEs should be required to comply only with the Basic Conditions of Employment Act, which offers fair protection for workers without over-regulating small enterprises and stifling job creation. If we want small businesses to thrive and create jobs, the regulatory environment must be simple, flexible, and tailored to their realities. In successful economies, regulatory frameworks are often tiered, recognizing that smaller enterprises need simpler rules to survive and grow. This approach strikes a better balance between workers' rights and economic sustainability. The second point or challenge that is not included is that MSMEs need to be exempt from BBBEE requirements. South Africa's MSMEs are vital for inclusive economic growth and job creation. Yet, the continued application of race-based criteria, even in the absence of credible evidence of its effectiveness, is having unintended consequences that undermine the very goals it seeks to achieve. The BBBEE system has created a lucrative industry of intermediaries where middlemen profit from facilitating compliance rather than creating real economic value, thereby distorting the business landscape and leaving genuine entrepreneurs sidelined. These requirements are stifling small business growth in South Africa. They have empowered the same connected elite over and over again, with no point at which a person is considered fully empowered. This entrenches inequality rather than broadening opportunities. Complying with these requirements is often also costly resources that small businesses typically do not have. Many small businesses are locked out of funding and markets simply because they don't meet BBBEE criteria, regardless of their potential. And many businesses, especially startups, family-run firms, and sole proprietors, are shut out of supply chains and funding avenues despite being capable and job-creating. South Africa must shift from rigid race-based frameworks toward inclusive, opportunity-based support that prioritizes growth, innovation, and job creation. Evidence-based policymaking must replace ideological entrenchment because the current approach is not working and the stakes are too high to ignore. Persisting with the status quo despite poor outcomes is illogical and counterproductive. Assistance, financial and non-financial, must be directed where it will have the greatest impact towards viable businesses that can grow and create jobs, not towards ticking boxes. Chair, as I conclude, I must state that not acknowledging and including these two challenges will see us in a year's time deliberating on the same dismal performance in terms of job creation and economic growth. And time is running out. We cannot afford to continue on the same path and adopt the same policies when it shows that it does not work. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member Singh. The Honorable Member Matsulo Molotsani, over to you, Ma. I was not aware that my mic is not on. All right.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. And let me greet honorable members on the platform, as well as staff from the department. Chairperson, I think I have one question for SETFA. Let me appreciate the report that has been, those two reports that has been presented, Chair. I just want to check with SETFA. How does they plan to develop and implement a comprehensive investment and capital raising strategy to ensure a sustainable supply of capital for small enterprise growth and development? Especially, how will the strategy address fiscal constraints while leveraging both internal funding sources such as government subsidies, income from financing activities, property rentals, and dividends from equity investment and external funding opportunities to optimize capital retention, support growth, and funding opportunities, and also to manage the developmental risk premium, Chair. I think I have the second, in fact, that is the only question I have for SETFA. And then I have two questions for the department, Chair. My question for the department, in delivering lending and investment services, the department intends to utilize a combination of direct and indirect financing channels. Could the department elaborate on the strategies and mechanism that will be employed to actively balance and integrate these channels? Specifically, how will the department ensure that the approach maximizes market reach and impact, while also addressing potential challenges such as risk management, accessibility for unreserved markets, and efficiency in service delivery? My last question, Chairperson, to the department, the credit guarantee mechanism is intended to enhance and position as a key transformative tool to significantly improve access to credit for small business enterprises. Could they provide detailed insight into the department's plans for strengthening this mechanism? Specifically, how will the department foster collaboration and coordination with a broad network of both banking and non-banking credit providers to ensure that the credit guarantee system effectively supports small enterprise, mitigates risk, and promotes financial inclusion across undeserved markets? That's all my question, Chairperson, for the day. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable May Matsulo. Did I hear you saying you're welcoming the presentation, or?
Yes, Chair, I did welcome both the presentations.
All right, ma'am. Thank you so much. I think that is very important. The Honorable Member Matulelo, we are in your hands, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Once again, greetings to you, honorable members, the department, and all the staff that is here today. This is Honorable Babalo Matulelo, deployed by the Economic Freedom Fighters in Parliament and in this portfolio committee. Chairperson, both reports are really heartbreaking, and the departments must be warned not to undermine this portfolio committee and its powers. Because, Chairperson, we called them, I think last week, Wednesday, and we registered our dissatisfaction with regards to their middleman model. So the department decides to be deaf, as the acting CEO mentioned that they are not planning to dissolve any model, regardless of our recommendations, Chairperson. It's like it's a business as usual. They are not even concerned. They are just here to try to impress us. Powers of budget allocation remains with us because we are the ones, Chairperson, that are voting for this budget, for them to get those budgets. We raised the serious concerns with regards to the middleman model in the name of intermediaries, wholesale lending, and the incubation, Chairperson. But the intermediary program is back. No recommendations of the committee has been even considered and taken on board. They're not even mentioning anything of the concerns of this portfolio committee. Also, the incubation program is back as it is, with its shortcomings. No committee recommendations has been taken on board. All the same old stuff. This is the similar in the performance reports, and they are coming with the same thing they gave us the last financial year. So this is the same thing as the repeat of the same problem, regardless of our recommendations and the concerns that we put on the table as this portfolio committee, Chairperson. The department must not come here and try to be creative and think they will convince us on the failed middleman model. That one, we are not apologetic, Chairperson, about it. We demand that they be completely closed down, Chairperson. So I just wanted to emphasize on this middleman thing that is frustrating us. DG, what is your view about the dissolution of middleman model? What specific practical plans to develop MSMEs, in particular the cooperative sector that has been neglected since the inception of this department? Deputy Minister, balance us on the vacancy rate resolutions and timeframes. How long the CEDFA CEO and all other acting officials are going to be acting? When, give us timeframes, when are they going to be hired? Because this question, you always run away from it. The whole department is always running away from this question, and they are not assisting us. Since this term has started, only one, the DG, only one, who has been also acting for many years. You can't only hire one person, everyone acting. If this is unacceptable, please, Can you tell us on those ones as well? Chairperson, lastly, I just wanted to remind that we agreed to do a formal complaint with regards to our live streaming, Chairperson. It was very painful, and it is again painful to come here, as Honorable Kruger was asking on the ombuds issue. The ombuds should be hired, should be appointed, but we are just failed by the mere media people. Chairperson, you remember now we have to come back, and it will take us to restart the process. And Chairperson, I don't know if you know that these mistakes they are doing, they will be accounted for by yourself on what? Those costs of the hotels, of the people who are coming here for the interviews. Those travel arrangements need to be paid back if we're starting the process from afresh. So these people, they must take us serious and resolve this matter with immediate effect. We cannot afford to have doing our own meetings in the zoo. We cannot. The parliament will never be parliament if it's not in the website of parliament. That is why we insist. If today I did not check and see that we were not live, they were not going to resolve it. They are telling us that after this meeting, it will be streamed live. But after that, when we insist as the portfolio committee, they were able to resolve the matter with immediate effect. It means that they are deliberately doing it, Chairperson. So I want to also register this because it's very painful, Chairperson. You remember during our interviews that we interviewed a CEO who collapsed the VPS. You remember the painful way of people that were there during the proceedings of the interviews. They were with corruption records. The public that has sent us here, they need to know what is happening. They need to be taken to consideration. There is no meeting that must not be in the parliamentary website. We can't do parliamentary meetings amongst ourselves. Even if we put the backgrounds of parliament, it doesn't mean it's a parliament if it's not in the parliamentary website. You had even those people that were saying that they rely on what is on YouTube. So I think, Chairperson, I wanted to also emphasize that there must be actions taken against this media. Because also, even if you follow the pages, Chairperson, of the economic cluster, I don't know what is happening about Justice because he only obsessed with other departments, doesn't put our things there. Even the work that is done on the ground or everything that is there, you can check. The small business is neglected in the pages of this economic cluster. We have to fight for our things to be seen by the public that has sent us into parliament. So I think, Chairperson, the department will come back and answer us. We cannot just listen to the repeat of the previous years' annual performances and we allow that. They must come with reports that includes our recommendations as this portfolio committee. They cannot enforce what we disagree on us. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Mebabalwa. You have said a mouthful with regards to the issue of the media, but allow me to quote what the PMG has said after the explanation. He said he forgot to add that even though they rely on YouTube video stream, they do audio recordings of the meetings. So he has recorded today's meeting, starting from the beginning of the meeting, and I'm sure we are going to get even a recording of that day when we were interviewing the ombudsperson. Mababalwa, our researcher Nabiswa requested to be in the media space for 3 months, though she did not talk to us before she was going, of which I think it's an opportunity for the committee. And today, she has to attend our meeting. Instead of her assisting in live streaming the meeting, she didn't. There are many things that we'll talk about them when we'll be dealing with the issue of the ombudsperson. I think what you have said a mouthful, and we even talked about it in our chat group. They were there, they were reading. I even talked to Justice on an individual chat, asking if ever Justice is in the meeting. And he said he is in the meeting, though I did not see his name on our participation list. I did not see him. I don't know whether it's my gadget or what. But let's just agree that today they have had us. We are not going to listen or depend on a mouth report. We reject that one. And today the Secretariat will have to assist us in writing whatever we are quarreling about, and we are going to submit in the office of the House Chairperson, in the office of the Speaker, and also in the office of Ntate Moloto, who is leading the issue of the media. This is going to be the last one, I just believe and I hope, because people have been live on YouTube, on Channel 408. It's like now we are attending an indoor committee meeting like the JCI, because those ones, their things are secret and they cannot go on public. But our small business issues, people need to know about them, and then they will be helped. Those who does not know the channels, as they're listening to the presentation, they will be helped, because they will hear it live from the committee meeting on that day, the relevant time. So I strongly agree with you. If we are not strict with our committee, no one will come and assist us. And I'm sure even the other honorable members will agree with you, Honorable Mathulelo, on that one. And then you touched on the issue of the intermediaries. I'm not responding to the department on behalf of the department. They will respond. But Honorable Mathulelo, you will remember that last week you wanted that intermediaries that was in the meeting, though they wanted us to give them 5 minutes each, but you said because they did not bring in the presentation, majority of the members in the committee said we will invite them again, and then we will listen to their presentation, and then it's then that we can take a decision. So for the department and the agencies not to present today while we did not take a decision, it was going to not a good thing to do. So we're still waiting for them. They're coming, they will do the presentation. It's then that we can take the decision. At the moment, let's allow the presentation to flow as it was flowing. Thank you very much, Honorable Babalwa. We are now going to listen to the Honorable Nchaba. Ma'am Nchaba, are you
ngiyabingelela.
Yes, we are in your hand, ma'am.
Ebothi niyaphila.
We are in your hands.
Nginombuzo la che. Unosmall business abasendaweni zamakhaya kakhulu. Uthi kulolu hlelo ade kukhulunywa ngalo bazosizala kanjani ngoba kunendawo ezingafinyeleli khona engakwazi ukusebenza i-internet. Kodwa abantu abasebenza kodwa kunenkinga ye-internet ukuthi bona yini engabasiza engabatakula lapho ukuze nabo bakwazi ukuthola idingo efanele. Ngiyabonga.
Nyabonga, Ma'am Nchaba. I'm sure they have heard you because they speak the same language that you are speaking. Thank you so much. They will respond to it. We are now going to listen to Honorable Lerato Ngobeni. You did speak, ne? Then Honorable Lerato?
She did, Chair.
Yes, Chairperson, I spoke. Yes, I'm fine.
Thank you so much. Honorable Webster didn't raise hand. Maybe I mixed the names here. Did you speak, Honorable Webster? Anyhow, if she didn't speak, she'll indicate. I don't see the hand of Honorable Carol Mafagani. Oh, Honorable Blankulu, you are the one that I did not
Chair.
recognize.
Yeah, sorry, Chair. I'm well represented today by Gogo. Thank you very much.
Thank you, my dear one. I saw your hand earlier on, but I don't see it now. Honorable Blankulu, I think you are the last one to speak, ma. And you were in the middle. I don't know what happened. You have a very big tick that you participated. My apology. Over to you, Honorable Kate.
Maybe now Chair. I just opened the video so that you can see that it's me here. But
Yes, I see.
Off now.
I see.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you very much, Chair. And let me take this opportunity in passing my greetings to your good selves, Chair, and all honorable members, the Deputy Minister, the DG and your crew, SITFA, CEO and your colleagues, the Secretariat, and everyone else in this platform, the South Africans. Good afternoon. Deputy Minister, thank you very much for your input. That was more of giving us the state of your department and what you are intending to do. I also want to wish my greetings to the Honorable Minister in absentia, but wishing her a speedy recovery. And I also want to say, may the God's healing hand touch her, and we'll continue praying for her. And also, Chair, I would like to wish condolences to all the families that were affected or lose their loved ones during the flood. And thank you very, 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 very much, Chairperson. DG, firstly, let me accept and support all the two presentations from the department and also from SITFA. DG, while making your presentation, you did mention that there will be an International Day of Cooperatives that will be hosted by our country. That will be happening at the Beechwood. It is a good thing to hear, and we really appreciate and welcome it. But I just want to check as to, I do believe that cooperatives are invited or will be invited. But I want to check the way or the instruments that we're going to use in inviting the cooperative to come and attend that International Day of Cooperatives, for them to learn or to exchange the knowledge and also to benchmark with other entrepreneurs from the globe. What instrument are you going to use? And if you know about the number that will be invited, can you please furnish us with that number of entities that will be there? And according to your organizational structure in program 1, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was on slide number 24, you did mention the issue of 5% reduction in vacancy rate towards filling the approved organizational structure. What I wanted to understand is the 5%. Let's say, for instance, now in 2025, you have a certain number, and that the 5% of that number, because we may see the 5% and think that the reduction will at least carry water, only to find that it's just a small drop in an ocean. Because for now, I don't know how your organizational structure looks like vis-a-vis the 5%. This is for the SIDFA and the department. Chairperson, SIDFA and the department today are the ones that are coming to present the strategic plan for 2025 up to 2030 and the annual performance plan for 2025-26. I take it that you have learned from the previous targets how to set a SMART target that will be achievable in your department and in your entity. And I do believe that now the target that you will be setting, they do have sound financial management and international control monitoring in order to achieve the audit outcome with no material findings. Chairperson, before I continue asking my 2 questions from the department, there is something that has been mentioned by Honorable Babalwa concerning the VBS, the member who has been interviewed concerning the VBS. But I think I had to raise it since I do have some knowledge concerning the VBS, that the Provincial Executive Committee of Limpopo, because of whatever happened, led by the chair and honorable member Matabata and the secretary Madaji, they are busy resuscitating the bank. Since that bank was there or was formed in order to assist our people down there, they've seen that it is critical for the ANC in the province to make sure that they resuscitate that bank in order to continue assisting and helping our people, because it wasn't only the people who lost their investments that are worried, but also the leadership are worried about that. So they are busy. In no time, you will see the bank in being active. And thank you very much, Chair.
Yes.
I have also 2 questions that I want to direct to the department.
Okay.
What measures is the department taking to ensure the timely and effective implementation of the planned regulatory reforms, such as the review of 28 burdensome laws and regulations, support 200 municipalities in adopting the e-registration system, and the integration of 14 red tape reduction indicators, and how will the forthcoming business licensing bill contribute to creating a more enabling regulatory environment for MSMEs once it is presented to Cabinet and submitted to Parliament during the 2025-26 financial year? The last question to the department chair goes like this. How does the Department of Small Business Development, in collaboration with its entity and the National Treasury, plan to ensure that the targeted support for 5,000 small enterprises, including access to domestic and export markets, and the rollout of 52 infrastructure projects effectively reduces the cost of doing business in rural and township areas? And how will the department's role in developing compliance instruments and indicators for the new Public Procurement Act enhance inclusive participation of small enterprises in state procurement opportunities. With SEDFA Chair, I would like to ask SEDFA as to how SEDFA intends to establish a differentiated, efficient, and responsive pre-investment support function that enhances the sustainability and economic participation of formal and informal micro enterprises, as well as potential and nascent entrepreneurs. In particular, how will prioritizing initiatives like the nascent Game Changer, the Township and Rural Partnership Programs, and targeted business development support contribute to building a robust pipeline of investment-ready and resilient small enterprises, especially in township and rural areas, with a focus on women, youth, and persons with disabilities? The second one, Chair, how does...
Is it the second or the last? Okay, continue, ma.
You said today we do have enough time because we're not going to
the plenary, but it can be the second. It can be the second.
That is my understanding.
in
that they
in
were given
SEDFA, Chair.
freedom.
Yeah, but it can be the second.
How
Okay.
far do you mean the Malimata is bullying us? We raise hands before him and it's here. Mama.
No, he said he's going to leave at 2 o'clock. I'm sure he'll be leaving. I said so before I allow him to speak. Continue, Mama.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. How does SEDFA, or maybe you want to respond on behalf of SEDFA, so you are maybe, you feel that today.
No. I want the truth. I want the truth, Honorable Kate. We've been talking and now you are saying the second. Since this morning, we've been listening to you. It can be the second. It will be another point.
On SEDFA, I was posing.
Oh, okay. My apologies.
Now I'm at SEDFA. I'm saying second on SEDFA, Chairperson.
My apology, my dear.
Yes.
Continue, my dear. You know, it's good to relax. You know, we've been listening and...
Maybe you didn't get tea. Can they please give you a cup of tea there?
Yeah. I need food, actually. I don't need a cup of tea.
Continue, plan to implement the dual fund approach comprising the department fund and the commercial fund to expand financial access for small enterprises. Especially, how will be the department fund address the need of early stage micro and small enterprises in underserved areas with affordable and flexible financing, while the commercial fund supports more commercially viable enterprises through market-aligned financing for priority sectors and high-impact projects, ensuring both developmental impact and financial sustainability. Lastly, Chair, I just want to repeat myself to say I accept and support the presentation, hoping that we are going to see different in the department come 2025-26. I thank you, Chairperson.
Wow, thank you so much. You know, you spoke like a poet today. Yeah. It's good to have time. I wish we can always have this time so that we don't fight over it. Thank you very much. The department and the agency, the honorable members have touched on many issues. They have touched on everything that we wanted to touch as the honorable members of this committee. But allow me to say, I am so happy that the Honorable Kruger touched on the issue of the red tape, and I cannot even continue with it, and many other honorable members touched on many issues. But then now on your vision, you are saying you are ready to assist us or the community or South Africa with sustainable jobs. And now, this morning, I received a WhatsApp message from another person. It's a member of the community. I don't know him. I never even met him. But because our names are on the internet, he searched and he got my phone, and then he forwarded me the pictures of the sustainable job that you're talking about, especially the CEO. Because this person has even forwarded me the certificate whereby he attended the training from CETFA, of which it was very good, and he was been receiving acknowledgement to the people that were surrounding him. And then he is saying he is staying in Western Cape, is the chairperson of Outlet Task Force. I'm sure the agency know this person. And then he even forwarded the pictures of the projects that they are doing. Very massive, I must say it, because I was touched, and it looks like it's not even one person who is working in that project. So that's the project, that's the sustainable job that we are looking for as the honorable members of this committee and the members of the community in our country. So you touched on the strategic pillars. I am happy about them. Actually, I want to say, I want to join the honorable members that this was a presentation that we were looking for. The honorable member Matulela touched on the issues of the intermediaries that worries all of us when we go and do our oversight work, and that will need a serious attention from our department. Deputy Minister, we will need a serious monitoring on everything that will be done, like the work that is being done by Bo Martins from the Western Cape. And he said to Western Cape in Oudtshoorn. I don't know Western Cape, truly speaking, but I underlined the name of the province, of which, if there are people out there who are saying shine to the department and the agency that they're doing a good work, we also want to see that when we'll be doing our oversight visit. Another honorable member said, I hear the members are saying, and the department are saying, CETFA is new, what. Mina, I won't say it's new. Well, it's new that they integrated. But these people know what was happening in CEDA and even in CIFA. We did not integrate the members of the department and the agencies. We only integrated these agencies. But the people who are going to do the work are the same people that were serving our community. So Mina, I'll say, let us continue to do good on these people, like what Jacobus is saying. And where we did not do good, we need to pull up our socks and make sure that we assist the country. We are not playing Honorable Matulela. We want the media people now to take us serious, because the community out there need to know that we are also working. And they must also know, it's very important for us to be noticed that we are members of parliament and we are serving in this committee of small business. So we cannot allow anybody to deprive us that opportunity. We really want it. It's good that the presentation is being welcomed by the honorable members. Now we are in your hands. I don't know.
Sorry, Chair.
Yes, Mema Tulelo.
Yes, I just wanted to check if you did register my rejection on the presentation.
Or now that you are saying it, it will be rejected. You did not say it, ma.
Oh, okay. I'm rejected.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We are now in the hands of the department. DG Manzini, you've been acting a while. That is why I want to reduce your position. I always call you DG, and you are the DG, you're the director of the department. We are in your hands. I don't know who's going to start. And then if it's you, then we are in your hands. Then thereafter, you will take us into the hands of the chairperson, Memakanda. Then Memakanda will then give us the direction as to what is going to happen. But truly speaking, we are pleased about the work today. Thank you very much. Over to you, Ma.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. And thank you for the questions and also the guidance that has been given to us in terms of improving our work. That is why we are here. There were a lot of questions, Chairperson, which I have been noting, but I know that I have the team with me, the DDGs, in case I have missed something. Chairperson, maybe starting with not like in order of preference, but as I was writing, the easier ones or the quick ones. One of them, but the one question that was asked was the issue on the International Day of Cooperatives. And I think maybe on that one, just to say it is not the one that is going to be taking place in Bedwood. Bedwood is the ITC meeting. The one that will be taking place in the International Day of Cooperatives is going to be taking place in Northwest Province. And the instrument that is used to attend, it will be through the provincial departments who are supporting them to attend, and through transport and accommodation, and those that are also exhibiting. We are looking at 45 per province that will be attending, which is, this was agreed upon. It's not something that as a department we took unilateral decision, but this is was agreed upon at the ICD task team that involved all the provinces and the cooperative organizations that are part. And the target number for this event is about 600. And once we have done with all the logistics and the invitations, I'm sure there will be an invitation that is also forthcoming. There was another question, Chairperson, on the issue of the business infrastructure that we are currently busy with in the office. I can safely say that we have now, as the department, we have approved the revised program. And this particular program is now called the BASP, which will include your just beyond the physical infrastructure that we were talking about here, but it will also have your issue deal with the issue of the tools and the equipment for SMMEs and the co-ops beyond the IMEDP and also the asset assist threshold. And again, to respond directly, yes, the municipalities and the agencies, private sector, they will continue to partner in the service delivery. On the IMEDP and how maybe we want to relook at it, there are workshops done before applications are done. We don't just go to an area and just start handing out. There will be a workshop so that people need to understand what those tools of trade are for. So, and we continue to do so. But however, these types of engagements, and as we speak now, there is I have actually signed that we relook and revisit the issue of the assessment that will be done for the program to see its impact. So there is such work that is actually ongoing. There was also a question, Chairperson, on the issue of the different 28 burdensome laws and regulations that we have, and also the 14 red tape reduction indicators. On that one, Chairperson and members, is that for us as a department to ensure the timely and effective implementation of our planned regulatory reforms, such as the review of the 28 burdensome laws and regulations and the support to the 100 municipalities and adopting all this e-registration system and this integration. One, on the review of the 28 burdensome laws and regulations, as a department, we do have a unit that is responsible for determining whether certain regulations have inhibitive elements. And the unit systematically assesses and prioritizes and review the laws identified as barriers to small businesses and also for the growth of those businesses. So we also use stakeholder consultation with business association, chambers of commerce, MSMEs, and legal experts to identify specific regulatory pain points. We also partner with legal and policy experts, possible through the Department of Justice or external consultant, to conduct the impact assessment and recommend amendments and repeals. We also implement the monitoring and evaluation, the MNE framework, to track the progress of each review milestone to ensure accountability. And that is the work that we are actually doing. And on the e-registration, we provide support to municipalities for the adoption of this e-registration system, which simplifies and also digitizes business registration at local government level. this is also shall be in a form of training. But we don't work alone. Again, we also work with entities like SALGA and CIPC, with CETA, to ensure that the system compatibility and also for knowledge sharing. We also deploy capacity building initiatives, including the training municipality staff to operate and maintain those type of systems. But what has happened now is that we pilot the system in select municipalities to refine and roll out the model before scaling it to all the 100 municipalities. There was a question about how do we ensure, I think it was the first question, on how we are ensuring that the money that we are sending, that we are dispersing or that has been budgeted for is spent properly. In terms of the department, we are strengthening the issue of entity oversight to ensure that there are proper systems in place that governs how money is spent, both in the department but also in the entity. And we do have what our own committees, the portfolio governance committee, which is the PGC, where we sit and the entity will then report on the work done vis-a-vis what has been dispersed. But we also have your institutions like your AGSA that will then come to the fore to assist us in doing so. And then there are reports that are submitted quarterly. So so far, all those are in place to ensure that we are able to deal with these issues. The issue of the red tape, I have touched into it, but safe to say that as a department, we work through the red tape reduction unit within the president and in any other department to embed the indicators into the department and also suggest possible ways to uproot these forms of red tape. We are part of all the different clusters, mainly the economic cluster, where we now and then present our findings. Actually, when it comes to red tape reduction on MSMEs, we are the lead department that is actually working on this. And also we advocate for the inclusion of red tape reduction targets in relevant departments that we are working with, that we see that they may be problematic in hindering the work that we want to do. We also use the data and case studies to demonstrate the impact of regulatory delays on MSMEs and encouraging interdepartmental cooperation. As a department, again, we continue to engage and assess the work that is being done. And currently, we have assessed the number of indicators in collaboration with DCOC and also the National Treasury. So we continue to have those meetings, with the latest meeting happening on the 19th of May 2025. I think also there was a question on the issue of the research report. The issue of the report, we can make it available, but it was a report at a high level because there was a question that what was the report about. That research report, the purpose of that report was commissioned by the department to investigate the challenges, to investigate opportunities, support needs of micro, small and medium enterprises and cooperatives in South Africa for 4 national priority sectors. And that report, it touched on agriculture, manufacturing, mining, and also it touched on tourism. And the aim was to inform policy and programmatic intervention to enhance MSME's resilience, competitiveness, and also contribution to this, to inclusive economic growth. So that is the report about, but I think it's a report that can be made available. In terms of the issue, again, there was an issue of the DTIC, that there is a bill that they are currently busy with. I can safely say on the issue of the DTIC that we are actually working very closely with them. We have collaborated with them through the Competition Commission to assess the number of legislation that inhibit small businesses. There are 220 legislation that were identified by the Competition Commission And in addition, the department also support it. We also support the DTIC and the Competition Commission on the implementation of block exempting regulations for MSMEs. So we do not work alone in silos, but we actually, when it comes to the issue of the red tape, because it does affect us directly, we are the department that is actually dealing with that. I've dealt with the abstract of the report. I've dealt with the issue of the building of the infrastructure and the IMDP and its effectiveness. On the issue of the digital transformation, there was a question around that particular issue, and that particular matter, the department is currently dealing with that. But previously, before our time, they dealt with the matter correctly, like it was actually said. But currently, us, the new team, dealing with this matter of the digital transformation, we are reviewing this to bring it up to date, to bring it up to speed with what is coming. We are also going to implement what you call your one-stop digital platform. So I think previously it was maybe stopped because of the direction it was taking, or it was not addressing what was the need at that particular time. Hence, we realized that while we are also talking about issues of digital transformation, it was also important for us to elevate it to this particular level. There was an issue on non-financial support and financial support that we needed to separate that. I think that's a discussion we can have, but safe to say that on the issue of your non-financial support, what we mean, we talk about your issues of mentorship, we talk about issues of your training, business development advice, access to markets, and assistance with legal compliance matters. Those are the issues that we're currently dealing with. But I do understand, and we take the counsel to say, if we separate that so that we can be able to say, when it comes financial support, we talk about this particular amount. But when we talk about the issue of non-financial support, this is the type of training maybe that has actually happened. The issue of the internet, umhlonishwa akhulume ngayo ye-connectivity kuma-rural areas, njengoba bese ngishilo ukuthi siyasebenza nalama department abo-SETA ukuthi kuzanywe into ye-connectivity, so that wonke umuntu onebhizinisi usomashishini onebhizinisi elincane akwazi naye ukuthi babe accommodated. We do have abantu esibabiza ngama-BROs, business registration officers abayi-52 esasiba-appointile ku-department, abahamba kuzo zonke lezi ndawo, baletha ama-report, basho ukuthi inkinga ekhona kule ndawo yilena problem ekhona, then sikwazi ukuthi si-attende immediately. So those areas, we know them and we are taking them into consideration. But again, this business DSP Connect is also going to assist us in mapping out isibone ukuthi iziphi indawo kusafanele ukuthi ezisashota okufanele ukuthi si-attend. Then there was an issue on the difference between job created and job sustained, and also the importance of that. That particular issue is also taken into consideration. Our understanding, or my understanding, is the DG of the department, is that job sustained is the job that is existing, and job remaining because of that particular intervention that we have. But when we talk of job creation, we are talking about new jobs, because we don't want to create them but not being able to sustain them. Like we do in the same model with business. If you look at what SETFA does, they're not only interested in the establishment when you are a startup, but also to follow up in terms of sustainability. As we know that when you support a business to be sustainable, what I have said, there is that line that then takes you to a job that is then sustained. I think I've covered then the issue of the 5% vacancy rate. We are currently, as a department, sitting at a 19-point-something% in terms of vacancy rate, and the acceptable vacancy rate that is acceptable by DPSA standards is at least 10% or below 10%. So what we are saying is that we want to reduce it so that at least by the end of the term, we are at least around 14 or even less. So what we do, we have put in place and implement a recruitment plan, a recruitment drive. And again, we cannot run away from the fact that as we're appointing, people leave, but not only in this department, across government and across the board. People apply, they see position, while you are filling positions, this one is now working there and then another one coming in. But again, we also promote in the department and sometimes it doesn't affect the figures. But our aim is that we do not want to be above the 10% vacancy rate that is with the vacancy rate that I apologize, Chair. Checking the questions. Okay, then there was a question on the vacancy rate by DPSA, which is 10%. Then there was a question from Honorable Gobeni, I think, about the issue of the red tape, which I think I've dealt with. The issue of the roadmap. Where is the implementation roadmap? We do have the implementation roadmap in terms of the red tape, and it can be made available. And there was an issue about the proposed business licensing on the issue of the robust enforcement. Maybe safe to say that this business licensing bill, because the plan has been approved, the business licensing bill itself, once presented to cabinet and submitted to parliament, the licensing bill will be very, very important in creating a more enabling regulatory environment for MSMEs. So hence we are really pushing for that one because it will help us, one, to standardize the business licensing procedures across all municipalities and provinces, reducing inconsistencies and admin burden. That's one. It will also help us to introduce what you call a centralized digital licensing platform, which will streamline and speed up the application approval and compliance processes. It will also enhance the regulatory certainty for MSMEs by clearly outlining conditions and timelines for obtaining licenses. So it will promote the transparency and accountability by requiring authorities to justify delays or denial in the licensing processes, because currently people do as they please, or there are different, every area has got its own way of doing things. So this will assist us and potentially including automatic approval clauses, if not explicitly denied with a certain period, which reduce the issue of the bottlenecks. And maybe lastly, it will also serve as a legislative anchor for other red tape reduction and digitization initiatives at local and national level. So this will really, really, really assist us because actually our strategy is focuses on the systematic reforms, digital enablement and intergovernmental coordination because of exactly what the Honorable Member said, that we need these other departments to be working with. So this intergovernmental coordination, it becomes very key. So this business licensing bill will then assist and it will serve as a cornerstone to institutionalize reforms, particularly at local level, ensuring that MSMEs operate in a more streamlined, less burdensome regulatory environment by 2026. And yes, indeed, we are part of the we are part of the net joints where we work with all these departments, and as the matter is put on the fore, we are able to say every department then will be able to add what is it that they are responsible for and work with. But again, you are correct, Honorable Member, in saying that as a department, we need to worry and also be worried about how the interests of our constituency, which is the MSMEs, taken care of in those type of meetings. So what we are doing as a department, one, like I said previously, I can safely say that with everything that CERTFA does, I can safely say there is nothing in terms of conditions or approvals where we have something that says for foreign national, this is what, if you are in South Africa for how long and what, and approve that. So we do not have that, like I said previously. But again, in terms of the monitoring, as much as I have said previously that there are inspectors from Department of Labor and Home Affairs, but that type of statistics we do get access to because we are also part of that IMC that deals with that issue, but we are also as part of NetJoins dealing with that with those type of issues. So we are able to get the statistics and then be able to act accordingly in instances where we have to act. I don't know if there is any area the DDGs would like to add before I hand over to the chairperson and the CEO, maybe starting with DDG Delwa.
Over to her.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you, DG. And good afternoon to you, Chair, and the members of the committee. DG, I think the only question that maybe one would add on is the question related to the transfers or the 2 billion, what is termed the 2 billion budget in the EDI branch, which is the branch program 4. Just to indicate that most of that funding allocated to the branch is what we then transfer to SEDFA. And the transfer then speaks to operational costs, finance products, your blended finance, your TREP, and then there's non-finance programs such as the technology program and the capacity development program, as well as the cooperatives development support program. So that's mainly where this funding goes to. I think you did already speak to how then we facilitate through entity oversight over those programs by the entity through as well the portfolio coordinating forum. And then the other issue then maybe DG to speak to is the issue of the incubation program. I think it's important to indicate that the department is finalizing the incubation and business development support policy, which has been approved by Minexco and will be going to cabinet and then will go out for public comments. This policy is going to make recommendations on the revision of some of the key elements of the incubation program, and then will also inform the implementation, therefore, of the incubation strategy going forward. So once that policy is approved, we will see a revision of the incubation program, learning from some of the experiences that we have had in the implementation, but also putting more emphasis on the issues that were raised around supporting innovation, especially from publicly funded research innovations, and trying to create a much more closer link with the Science and Innovation Department. We are at the final stage also of signing an agreement with the DSTI that will see us collaborating a lot more with commercialization of innovation. Thank you, DG.
Thank you, DG. Kavinder.
Thank you, DG, and thanks to the chairperson and the members. DG, let me say from our side on program 3, you have covered in your responses the areas fully. So thank you, Chair.
No, thank you very much. I think unless there is a question that we have jumped, chairperson, I will ask I will hand over to the chairperson and the CEO. Thank you.
Didn't you forget Director General, DG Ramudumo? Unless if he's covered also.
I think he is covered.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
All right. Over to Setfa.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chairperson. Chair, I will take the strategic questions, and after I've taken those, the CIO will come in, and then the CEO will then appraise the committee on all the other questions and close whatever gaps if myself and the CIO would have missed certain questions. Chair, on the KCG matter, we have literally seen the strategies and the ways, because the question was around the strategies to improve the guarantee itself. So we are working tirelessly on that, and it's something that is happening in the organization, where we've got strategies in place on how are we going to improve our liquidity position so that our guarantee can be utilized by the other commercial banks that are not using it at the moment, and also open it up for the non-banking financial institutions, because it's not just about the commercial banks only that can use it. It can also assist us a lot from a financial inclusion point of view that one of the members raised on how are we planning to make sure that we are inclusive financially in our programs. So including more non-banking financial institutions and providing that guarantee so that they can on lend comfortably so and get the same support that we provide commercial banks and reach into areas that are far on the outskirts and they need they have capacity to then do that to provide that support in remote areas, people that are far from in accessing commercial banks and stuff. So the NBFIs do have that opportunity to reach out those that target market that we are prioritizing. And then on the reach to rural communities, we currently have branches in most regions, in municipalities, in most districts rather, which are there, but not in all provinces. We also utilizing the access points to help us reach out, because it is expensive to have a branch in every town. It will not be it will not make financial it not be viable financially for us as an entity, considering our asset base, to then create too many branches that it will be difficult for us from an operational financing point of view to maintain those branches, because we also don't want to have branches everywhere, in every town or in every village, and then you find that when people go there for help, there's nothing that can be offered, because we do not have resources then to make sure that there's always a resource available that can support. We prefer the cost-effective model of using the access points, the accredited and approved access points that go via our ways of doing things and understanding what is our mandate, what programs are we offering, especially the township and the rural communities. What other programs are we offering, even outside, so that they know the entity and they know what are their opportunities, even outside the ones that can be offered in their respective communities, because there's more that the agency offers from an inclusion point of view. So there's also another question around what are we doing in terms of the comprehensive investment strategy and capital raising. We are working on the policies around investment strategy and include a comprehensive investment strategy, considering the extended mandate and making sure that our mandate that we are given, even the work that we've been doing in the entities that we've inherited some of that work, and how do we then integrate or reconfigure our enabling environment so that when we go in the capital markets, we go with a very clear policy environment and regulatory environment, and of course the frameworks on how do we capital raise, what sort of instruments are we looking for there, and how and when can we take those instruments. And Honorable Chairperson and honorable members, I also think that that part requires us to be very honest about the state of our balance sheet. How healthy is our balance sheet, especially when we want to go the capital markets routes? Are we strong enough? Is our loan book performing at the levels where we can safely say that okay, we can cover our base and we are ready to then bring in more partners, leveraging of our strength, the strength of our balance sheet, and also design those programs with those partners that we are bringing to the party to come and with us and say, okay, this is what we have as CEDFA, this is our balance sheet, this is how we're performing, this is what we are doing to mitigate whatever gaps that we have, considering that we are in this transitional phase, because it's very difficult to go to the capital markets and raise money at the, like when you have still not concluded your transitional phase, you have not put everything in place to strengthen the organization, and you to know that each and every program that you have works. You can collect, you can have money coming into your organization, you can cover your expenses, because we still need to pay the salaries of the people who work for us. We have to pay rentals in the spaces that we are using. We have to make sure that when SMMEs come and knock on our door and ask for funding, there is money to finance them. So we need to make sure that we can be in a position to do all of that when we do that fundraising, which is great. We have already started that work, even though we're still transitioning. There are partners from both public sector, private sector that are willing and keen in working with us from an access to capital point of view, even though they know we are transitioning. And on the equity position, because the question did speak to the dividends, the equity positions, we currently have an equity position where we receive a dividend per annum, which comes in handy for an organization like us to get that injection to support us. However, we are aware of the PFMA requirements in terms of what we can as an SOC from an equity positioning point of view, what amount of the quantums that the PFMA is clarifying in terms of how much can we take as a state-owned entity as an equity. And we want to increase the equity position because of our extended mandate allows us to do so, but being cognizant then of what are the laws saying, what can we do and cannot do from the PFMA point of view. But it's something that is coming, it's on the pipeline in making sure that our equity positions make sense. They are aligned with our mandate and the programs that we want and the partners that we bring on board. They make sense for us in discharging this mandate. I am now going to request the CIO chairperson to take the floor and appraise the committee on operational questions that speak to his portfolio, and the CEO will follow after him. Through you, Madam CIO, if you may say. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So, Chairperson, I'll start to add on what the Chairperson of CEDFA is saying. There was a question about CEDFA's strategy on capital raising. Maybe, Chair, to respond proper to that question, I must paint the demand side. Over the next 5 years, CEDFA plans to disperse 11.5 billion over the next 5 years. So that's the money that we are needing, Chair. That's the money that we're looking for. Therefore, on the supply side, this 11.5 billion will be raised from funding sources, which include the voted funds, obviously, coming through our mother department, DSPD, corporate ESD programs, donor funding, and other partnerships, Chair. But we'll also mobilize external capital through partnerships with both public and private sector. The public Chair will include other departments and DFIs, and the private sector Chair will come in the form of syndication and co-investments. The private sector like co-investment. Hence, today we have programs that we're calling them blended programs. They want to see us participating so that they can also assist. Then to go to the next question, Chair. There was a question talking to the funds that we are having. The funds that we are having, the funds that the CEO mentioned, is the development fund as well as the commercial fund. These funds, Chair, we have decided to segment our business according to these funds, responding to the clientele that we are having. Our clientele, we have noticed that it has development as well as commercial clients. And at times, Chair, it becomes unfair to the development clients if you are to assess them as though you are assessing a commercial client. Therefore, we've decided to have a development as well as a commercial fund. And the development fund, Chair, will provide affordable, flexible financing, mainly to early stage MSMEs, especially those in underserviced areas, as well as support in the form of training and mentoring or any other non-financial support that is required to ensure the sustainability of the clients. Then on the commercial side, Chair, we're talking there about the clients that provide or the clients that need market-oriented funding. Those are SMEs, Chair, that have been in the space, that have high impact, that are sustainable, that have track record, that have been around really. So those ones, will assess them differently. And if you like, Chair, our risk appetite will be high on development clients vis-a-vis our low risk appetite on the commercial clients. And if I were to give you just the programs now under development, we're talking about the micro businesses, we're talking about the cooperatives, we're talking about township and rural entrepreneurship. We have that program already. We talk about Youth Innovation Fund, Women Entrepreneurship Fund. There is also a small enterprise manufacturing support program. All of those programs, Chair, are targeting at our development clients. We want to activate them. And Chair, in all honesty, we don't want to have the development clients in perpetuity. We hope and believe that with our support, they will migrate to commercial, and one day they'll also migrate to the commercial banks. And on the commercial side, Chair, the programs that we are running and that we will be running are your franchise fund, are your joint venture funds, are your construction programs. And those funds, Chair, they need someone who has been in the business. Obviously, if you're a startup, we're going to start you at our development fund. So there's a development fund, Chair, that is a feeder of the commercial fund. The last question that I want to touch on, Chair, is the question about our funding channels now, and those channels that we're talking about in here, Chair, is the direct lending as well as indirect lending. How do we strike a balance there? And on the direct lending, Chair, we will focus on priority sectors and the underserved entrepreneurs, where private lenders see a risk. So they are risk averse. Ours, Chair, is the lender of the last resort. We want to activate new markets, and obviously we will focus on government priority areas. And Chair, with the indirect lending, this happens, Chair, in cases where direct lending becomes a challenge, and where indirect lending partners offer deep local network specialization, they offer efficiency, they offer operational agility. There we implement our indirect lending. And SEFA, Chair, will only continue to support the indirect lending partners that are aligned to our business, which are accredited, Chair. And we also talk about CBIs, Chair, for our cooperatives. And in line with that, Chair, we also implement the fintech that the CEO has talked about. And surprising enough, Chair, there are areas where even the commercial banks and us are aligned, and we do partner. We do co-fund those informal businesses or those township businesses, depending on the demand. I'll stop there, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will take it that we are done with the responses.
No, Chair, I was about to come in.
Who is this?
Not yet, Chair. I did mention that the CE will come in after the CIO.
Okay.
If you may be given an opportunity, Chair. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chair. I won't be long. I would just take a few questions. Apologies. There was a question that was asked by Honorable Sapo regarding the delivery service programs, and I believe the CIO has responded to that, so I will not repeat. I would like to agree with the point that has been raised by Honorable Ngobeni regarding the issue of prioritizing the informal sector. And I think for us, with the issue of the development fund, we are saying that indeed the businesses that we need to be funding there, I think in the first year we're talking about 94,500 under the development fund. That talks to the informal sector, but also we do have targets that are aimed at promoting entrepreneurship and also formalizing some of those that want to formalize within the sector. And our organization, therefore, is structured through the different channels, the direct and indirect channels, to service even that informal market. Chairperson, we have also tried in the submitted APP document from that we submitted to really provide definitions. We can always improve on the definitions of jobs and jobs created, personal satisfaction of their members, but we have defined, because we have to define these jobs for us to account for them. So on the main document, because the submission, the presentation is a summary, but on the main document we have and separated the jobs per program so that we don't just cluster. We're able to say on this program and this program 1, 2, and so forth, this is how the jobs will be coming in. With these ones are new, these ones are existing, and we have therefore done some of the definitions as it was requested from us, and we are also then clear about how the calculation from the numerical count point of view, if we are creating a new job, for example, we are saying we must be able to measure the total number of jobs after the intervention vis-a-vis pre-intervention. But when we get to the means of verification is that we do get then the forms when we start the businesses, and we are able to say these are the jobs that are existing, record them, and then we're able then also to come back and see if the intervention that we put through did result in a job or not 6 months later, and we're able to then fill in the new form the applicant or the client at that time signs, and we're able to see the employees and count the employees that have resulted as a means of that job. And it differs from the BDS and to the funding side, where in the funding side it becomes clear that once we fund the jobs that were not there, they become clear to be jobs that are created. We have tried to provide those definitions on the APP document that was submitted, but we always open for improvement in terms of those matters so that we can get to be a better entity and able to measure everything accordingly. We will also do an exercise, because we had met our access points in the township and rural areas across the country. We have removed some that were not being effective and providing good work and added new ones. We will also map those and see so that the committee can see our representation, maybe with the Q1 report across the country where we are as an entity, and then maybe we can then also look further to say what more can we do. But maybe that exercise is what we'll try to do to just make sure that there's mapping. But also, I think what we have not done well is also to just go out and promote these access points, because these are over and above our branches that we have. And this is where I always say we take local accountants that SMMEs go to anyway, and they pay for services, and we convert them to Pure Access Points so that then we can pay for the services instead of the small businesses pay. And we targeted rural and township areas. The budget was limited. We couldn't do everyone and across the country, but we did make a difference in terms of the numbers and access. But maybe there's work that we must do in just dealing with that and just showing that mapping. There was also a question around, or some few questions that came through from the members. As I said, the one question about the programs, I think we have responded to. There are questions around what we're doing to promote the CBIs or the cooperative banking institutions in terms of business development services and so forth. And we have indicated that it is our intention that we extend the CPI model to be to make a very good improvement in terms of accessibility of funding into the rural communities as well. And we have said we want to grow the CPIs in terms of their deposit to 900 million from 500 and something million. We also want to grow the numbers from 31,000 to 35,000 in terms of the CPIs. And that is our intent, to make sure that we are able to focus into that market with the view of that market extending our services. Also, we're looking at the funding combination of grant and loans into it, but mostly we are looking at providing guarantees into the space so that then they can go and borrow and be able to then sustain their businesses and lend more into the communities. For us, that is very, very important as an organization as we move forward into this space. There is also work that we are doing. Just looking at another question that we received. I think the credit guarantee one has been covered strongly by the chairperson, except adding that we will be injecting an additional 300 million into that, because we want to increase the number of credit guarantees taken up to 2.5 billion by the end of the 5 years. So in doing so, we need then to inject 300 million into that space, and the rest the chairperson did cover. And I think there is I think I've covered also the issue of the cooperative banking and us wanting to increase those ones. And I think there was a question of the differentiated, efficient and responsive pre-investment support, and how we plan or intend to establish that. There is work. I think we also acknowledge that SEDA, the former SEDA, provided business development support, but also we do acknowledge that it was not fully tailor-made business support. So that's what we are looking at currently, to make sure that everything that we have from our programs and the design is then done in the form of tailor-made or tailor-made pre-investment program, and we're looking at dealing with that from a pre-investment point of view, looking at funding our funding interventions in terms of supporting clients with funding applications based on funding criteria, not only for them to be funded by us, but across the spectrum, for them to be funded across by also other DFIs. We're looking at quality and productivity improvement interventions to support these businesses to improve their operations. And then we're looking at the coordination of this ecosystem and the system based on the needs to make sure that at least there's access into the ecosystem by the small businesses. And I think other questions, Chair, if I may conclude, they've been covered in terms of also what we plan to inject into the economy ourselves. I'm not sure if there is any question that we did not really cover. Chair, the members would indicate. Thank you very much.
Chair.
Chair, thank you so much, Chairperson. That is it from our side. I'm handing back to the department then. And yourself, we are done on our side. We've covered all the questions the honorable members raised. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Ma. Director General. Memanzini.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I think we've, both department and the entity, we've covered the questions, like CEO has said, in case there is a question we have missed, we will then take it. Thank you, Chair. Will be guided by yourself and the members.
Okay, thank you very much. The Deputy Minister.
Thank you very much, Chairperson and members of the committee. Let me thank the members of this committee. Really, this has been very, very, productive, and we are taking all the inputs, and we will make sure that we improve on our delivery through you, Chairperson. We must thank you for this opportunity to present today and for sharpening our strategic plans and the way we implement our annual performance plans. We appreciate the role each of you have played to enrich our discussions, and I don't doubt that your inputs will improve the way we implement our targets. Having said that, Chairperson, I wish to emphasize that no amount of planning, strategizing, and implementation will succeed without the support of men and women in our communities, and the support of this committee, and the key stakeholders, and the beneficiaries of our program. Our collective role is to support small businesses and remove obstacles that make it difficult for them to grow, so that they can create the much needed jobs that our country needs. I thank you, Chairperson and members of the committee. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Deputy Minister. Words of wisdom from a mother. Thank you so much. We strongly appreciate the participation of you and your department and the agencies. Everybody who took part, thank you very much. Before I continue, as the Secretary is bringing back our agenda, Honorable Member Kate Bilankulu touched on the issue of the Limpopo leadership that are reviving the VBS Bank, of which it will be a great thing to do for the members of the community. But Honorable Kate, I want to give you this, that we will be very, very happy if ever the faces of those who looted at the VBS are arrested. Otherwise, if there won't be any action, people will never trust this bank again. And if the VBS is going to be revived and start working again, people will work with the bank, in fear that we're going to put in our money, and these people are going to take the money and we won't even know where they are. So talk to your leadership in the PEC that every member who was the face of the VBS need to be thoroughly checked and go to where he belongs in that area where they wear orange overalls. It will be great. Honorable Singh, you noted something, Ma, that you checked the Z list and our meetings are generally not included. I think you were referring to today's meeting. And I said to you, this will be checked, and I don't think it will happen again. So I'll put a request to the Secretariat that let this committee never ever discuss about the issues of the Z list and the media. From now on, going forward, please, content advisor, our researcher, our media liaison officer, assist the committee. We want continue working like people who are, well matured and civilized. We might not maybe been coming from any university that taught us how to run the Committee of Parliament, but believe me, the experience that we have now, I mean, Honorable Matulelo included, will never allow anything that will make us go wrong. On that note, I would want to thank all the honorable members who managed to attend our today meeting. And I'm happy that people will notice that if we have time, no one will go in to deny anybody any opportunity to participate the way they want to participate. But if time is not on our side, we shall request that let's try and adjust so that we don't end up fighting on unnecessary issues. So today it was good, it was great. Everybody had a time or a chance to participate, to listen and raise questions and comments. And the department also managed to have their time in order to respond to us. So I really appreciate and I feel great for this committee. On that note, we have arrived on the last item, which says closing remarks and closure. Honorable members, Deputy Minister, thank you very much, for availing yourself. The meeting is adjourned. I see the hand of Mema Tulela. I don't know whether the hand was before I close, or is it that you're thinking about something now, Honorable Matulela?
No, I raised my hand when the Deputy Minister was on the podium. I don't know, maybe when you are on the podium, maybe you don't check the hands, Chairperson.
No, it just notified me now. I'm sure it's the problem of the network. Sometimes this thing is not responding on time the way we would want it to respond. Let me allow you, Honorable Matulela.
No, Chair, thank you very much. And also thank you to you to address the matter of those who are involved within criminal activities and the collapse of EVPS. They must be arrested. But I wanted to say that, Chairperson, sometimes when we assume or we put assumptions on some of the issues on behalf of the department, I think we are running a risk. Because when I was raising my hand, I wanted to say that they did not even confirm, Chair, that they came with these intermediaries and this model, the way they came with, as I indicated, that it is a repeat of the whole last terms of the performances and their proposals. So they did not confirm, Chair, that the reason why they came with it as it is, while we have concerns, is because us, as this portfolio committee, we were busy, or we said we want the intermediaries to come in one roof physically in Parliament. They did not answer why they even put it nicely the way they put it in the reports. They didn't answer us why they come again with the issue of intermediaries, of which that seems to be a failed model. So that's what, Chairperson, I wanted them to just clarify that, and then you close. So that is the only issue, Chairperson, I wanted to hear.
Thank you very much, Honorable Matulela. Our Director General, do you have anything to say with regard to this one? Or SETFA? Chair, Mema Kanda? I'm sure they did not leave the room. Because normally when I say the meeting is adjourned, they quickly close, or the DG is still here. Director General, do you have anything to say, ma?
Yeah. Chair, if allowed.
Yes. Take us. You are allowed.
Right. Thank you, Chair. We acknowledge the matter that's being raised. We did in terms of our outcome 1.1, in terms of what we're going to do and how, and the fact that we acknowledge that there are issues on some of the intermediaries, and we also do acknowledge that we do have very well performing intermediaries, and our intermediaries are not only in the microfinance space, but also they are in the retail finance space. We do have some that have issues. It's a model that. Chair, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
You are loud
So
and clear.
we then said that while acknowledging those problems that we may be having, we said under program outcome 1.1 that we have output indicators that talks to how we want to get to a space where we capacitate the service providers. That includes the intermediaries, to get them to be in line and to do what they're meant to do, with a target of training about 100 in this year, 120 next year, 130 the following year, because that talks not only to just normal training, but financial management, customer service, business management, and so forth. And that's what we want to do in the space. We also agree that, and I mentioned that in instances where we find that there are intermediaries that are not doing what they're supposed to do, as the committee has mentioned, we've got options in terms of our agreement with them. We've got existing agreements in terms of lending and loan agreements that we have with the intermediaries, where we can recall facilities should we find them to be in the wrong according to our loan agreement. There are clauses there that we're looking at and that we're dealing with. But our request was that for us to be able to reach to the rural communities, and the CEO was speaking to the fact that there are places where we'll not be able to reach, but we're able to get to them because of the model that we're running. But as said, our commitment is to perfect and to do well on those things that we had not done right in the past, even with the issues of the intermediaries, and make sure that there is monitoring, strict monitoring, which we have came back and established that this is the kind of monitoring that must happen. And we are employing the CAs also in the new entity to be able then to look after the intermediaries and make sure that everything money-wise is done and is done correctly, and we are then able to account. And if we found any wrongdoing, we're definitely going to act against those. But we have included those measures in our APP to deal with this matter. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. But the big picture, we'll get it when you bring them to the committee for presentation. They must prepare thoroughly. They mustn't run away from the wrong that they did, and also to tell us as to how are they going to rectify that. Pagamani will be the first one, and Pagamani must come and tell us about the lady in Guyana that was misplaced. She was put somewhere. They managed to hide her somewhere and took us to that lady who was dealing with 4 chickens. I think those are not for business. It will be for the family to consume. So thank you very much. I'm sure I did close the meeting. Let the meeting continue to be closed. Thank you very much. All the best, honorable members, for the day.
The meeting is adjourned. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members. Thank you, dear.
Thank you.
Honorable Kruger.
Somebody's calling Honorable Kruger.
Hi, Chairperson.
My
It's me.
chair
I'm
was
saying.
my hand was up, but it's all right. I will leave it for another.
Your hand was up, say.
Recording stopped.
Yes.
I'm very sorry. Next time, do shout if I don't see you, especially if we still have time. My apology. The recording has stopped already, or maybe you can take it for the next meeting. shelve it for the next meeting.
Yes,
on the-
I will keep it for the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much for understanding. God bless you. I'm leaving the meeting now. Bye.
Bye.
Nomja,
Yes, Papi.
right?
Papi, ya kodwa njani? Milani? Uyangcola loo nto leyo.
Huh?
Hayi, ndithi abantu laba bangangcoli.
Okay, now so khuluma efonini.
Alright ke mngani wami, sure.
Yeah. Next week if physical angithi wawe.
Kaloku. Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.